What's recording? The
audio.
Dang,
so
everything's recording now.
So you
why is this all on
the
my
whole
face?
thing on your phone? How do you transfer it to the laptop? If so, what is that process?
When after everything's just said and done, I put them both like in a video editor.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of sync it up.
Do you just send it wirelessly and just let it upload?
No, I look at my computer.
Got it. I was about to say that's gotta take forever.
We're started. We're started. That's good information for people. So we're started.
Okay, cool.
Jayshun, I'm gonna just adjust this just a little bit, dude.
Perfect.
What's going on, buddy?
A lot actually.
How have you been?
Life has been so interesting, and my life has been. Oh, trust me, it's been a lot of twists and turns. For starters, in the last year, I've moved to Dallas, then moved back to Killeen, then moved back to Dallas, then moved back to Killeen 2 months ago. So it's just been a lot of back and forth, and it's all been productive. Life has been. Once COVID hit, I decided I'm going to just kind of go with the flow for a bit and just see what happens because apparently we can't predict life. And so it's been a lot of really great things happening just kind of naturally. And so before we get to 2020, 2021, I want to just finish that Call of Duty story because it's important for my ego.
Okay.
Because back then, like I told him, I never wanted to tell you that I actually thought you were better than me, but I knew you were at that time in high school. But my granddad, so you graduated a year before me, so my senior year, my granddad took my Xbox the first day of summer, like before my senior year, because he was like, "You're spending too much time," and so I was depressed all senior year. But I graduated. The moment I left, I moved out 3 weeks after high school to Dallas. Bought an Xbox the day I moved out and got back into Call of Duty. And so 2012, 2013, I started competing in Modern Warfare 2. And that's when I went super pro. And so my main account got banned at 20K GB. And then my second account got down to about a 6K.
Okay.
And with that one,
we should explain that. What's GB?
So in the Call of Duty world, there is something called game battles. And it's basically a platform where gamers come together for different competitive games and just play against each other and compete to try to gain ranking, to try to win money, that kind of thing. And so I was on the website. I made it to 20K. I was a very cocky player. Everybody I played against, I would tell them they're trash and that I'm better. So every single game I won, everybody would report and dispute, no matter what, even though I was recording everything. But they still ended up banning my account when I was at a 20K rank. And so I started a new account, and in like a few months I got all the way to a 6K because it got to the point I was so dialed in on Modern Warfare 2, and I almost never lost a singles match. Me and my dubs partner only lost like one ever. And then in teams, I finally found the right people, and we ended up going #1 in the world a few times in teams on Modern Warfare 2.
Okay.
And we had a few players. One player was a 3-digit on our team, and another was like a 2-digit. Like, it was some crazy people that I would have never thought that we would play with.
I'm going to translate this first before you get too far. So I'm going to translate this to the people who don't or have never competed in Call of Duty or just don't follow that scene at all. So essentially what he said was 20K. So his ranking was 20,000th on the website, which is really dang good for Call of Duty, especially at that time, because I was like peak game battles was Modern Warfare 2. It was like at the peak. Before like league play and competitive play came out in the games going forward. And getting down to a 6K is also really good. And then he said singles, which is a 1v1 game battle, 1v1 competitive match. You're in a game, you're playing 1v1. And then dubs 2v2, and then you would also play 4v4, which was traditional like pro Call of Duty. You would play 4v4, which is really hard. Like 4v4 is so different than any other ranking system because A, it's really hard to find 4 players who sync like that. So like those Call of Duty teams that, or just, and this goes for anything, competitive gaming wise, teams that can stick together for a very long period of time is fucking impressive because there's a lot of egos in video games. If you've ever been on Xbox Live or some shit, there's a lot of ego in video games. Most people who play video games definitely got an ego, for sure. You over here pointing at me, man. Wow.
The irony.
Hey, I was clean. with it.
His gamer tag was too nasty for a reason.
I was clean with it. It's still nasty shit to this day. I suck now, though. I'm trash.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. I went and tried to play, and I was the worst I've ever seen. But
I'm good at Call of Duty.
Well,
I'm bad at everything else now.
Yeah, so the newest Call of Duty.
I can still play.
I don't know. I think it was Modern Warfare. Whatever the newest one was, I played it enough to be solid. But I tried going back to the older ones, and I couldn't do nothing. It was just so weird.
Yeah, dude. It's we're getting old.
Very much. So.
You're what, 27, 26 now?
27. Ooh-wee. Yeah, I'll be 28 on Halloween.
Oh shit! I'm gonna turn 28 just right before you. My birthday's coming up.
Oh, damn.
Actually, by the time this episode comes out, I'll be 28.
When is your birthday?
So we're in the future, huh?
When is your birthday?
August 18th.
Oh wow.
Hardcore Leo, apparently.
That makes so much sense.
My
goodness,
dude! Everybody says that. Everybody says that.
Leo.
Yeah. Everybody says
funny.
that.
That's hilarious.
One of my friends, Veronica, she posted on an Instagram story like 20 back-to-back stories of like Leo memes, and I replied like half of them. I was like, "Holy shit! I feel this, I feel that, I feel this," and even the ones I didn't reply to, I was like, "Yeah, sometimes."
It's crazy how accurate that stuff can be at sometimes, but like Leo,
it really can be.
There's certain signs to me that are like very telltale that like their sign is like very noticeable, and Leo is definitely one of them. They're very prideful, boastful, in your face. I'm better than you. You can't tell me nothing. Like that's very Leo. Like all my Leo friends are that type of spirit, and it's funny, but that tells me a lot. I wish I'd have known that.
We talk shit, but we put the work in to back it up.
Like I will give it to you. I'll give you your props on air. Back then, Call of Duty, this guy was nice. We did play some tournaments. I don't remember if it was me, you, and Keaton that played a tournament or what it was, because I played one with him and.
Well, we played the 2v2 LAN one at the video store, not GameStop, but
there was
Game Exchange.
Yes,
we played there and we won it.
And then I went back and played with Keaton again. We didn't win that one because I hadn't played in like over a year. It was bad. I was so terrible. He was mad at me, but it was trash. But those were some fun times, man.
Oh, dude, I admit, like those are simpler times, man. Playing Black Ops 2, playing League play. I was a master, top 100 master rank in Black Ops 2. I played against Sharp TK. You remember Sharp?
I feel like I do. I remember TK.
TK in Black Ops 2, they were notorious for running shotguns in pro play, and Sharp was one of the main ones. And I remember playing in our league play against him, and I dropped a 40 bomb on him, and then 40 bombs, so 40 kills, 40 kills in one game,
which is insane,
which is nice, nice. And then so he invited me to an 8s lobby with him. And we ran some games there, and I was on the other team a lot. And I always played Slayer. I was always Slayer. Slayer/OBJ, but mainly I just killed people. And then now that I've gotten older, I play with a friend named Kramer. He lives in Maryland. And I play with him now, and he's pretty much always a Slayer. Any game we play in, he's always the kill whore. Fortnite, the kid's nice. So nice in Fortnite. And then we played in the winter qualifier. So the very first
for Fortnite?
Yeah, the very first Worlds for Fortnite, we played in the winter qualifier. And we came pretty close to qualifying for the qualifier. So nothing too crazy, but to qualify for the qualifier was a pretty big deal. And so that's when we were streaming. That's when the stream was popping. And good times. Good times, man.
Just imagine, though. Think about how hardcore Game Battle was. Imagine if Twitch was like then what it is now, and e-gaming and all like the billions that's in that industry.
We could have made some money,
bro. Do you know how much money we could have made if we had Twitch and it was already built in, and we could stream those games and play those tournaments and beat people left and right? We would literally be making multiple six. We made $500,000 or $1 million. We should have stuck with it, man. Bro, I think we should have stuck with it.
I know, dude. I know. Man,
it's just the only.
I got bored.
Well, I didn't like how every year you got to play a new Call of Duty and master it. That's what killed me, because Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2, those were the two that like I only played those even years after. And so I was just like, I don't want to spend this much time to master another Call of Duty and then a new one, and so I just couldn't.
Because all the games that came out after Black Ops 2 just wasn't Call of Duty no more. It's just way too different, and I couldn't adapt. I wasn't as good as in Advanced Warfare. Or Modern Warfare.
There was one more that was like nice.
No. So after Black Ops 2 came Ghost. I was still decent at Ghosts.
I can't remember.
Like I was still pretty good at Ghosts, but I wasn't. But the in-play system wasn't as good, and game battles had died by then. So then the league play in Ghosts was nothing like the league play in Black Ops 2. So then I just fell off. I just stopped playing. I lost that drive to keep getting better at that. But now I've been playing again. I've been playing Valorant.
Okay.
So I've been playing Valorant on PC, which is kind of like the best way to describe it is kind of like Counter-Strike meets League of Legends almost.
Interesting.
So it's still a first-person shooter, very much aim-centric, very much like one-tap headshots kind of game. I'm trash.
I've never understood how to play games on PC. That has never made sense to me. The
PC is so much fun.
I don't get it. Hey, everybody always says it's better than console, but I don't understand the fundamentals of using a mouse and keyboard to play a shooting game. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Once I made the transition in Fortnite, I got so much better at Fortnite. It's so much better on PC. The frame rate, the refresh rate of the monitor, the aiming is way more precise with the mouse than it is with the controller. There's a lot of benefits to playing on PC. And before we go too much further,
I was literally thinking, how are we gonna transition out?
Yeah, I got you. Okay. So before we go too much further, backstory real quick. I've known Jay since high school. We took biology together, chemistry together, and
physics.
No, you weren't in Miss Arnett's class.
Yeah, I was.
Were you?
The really cool.
Wait,
because there
Miss Arnett was the West Point teacher, the West Point graduate.
I don't remember. Probably not.
I think you were in the other physics class.
I don't remember.
I can't remember the other teacher's name.
It was this cool lady that was. Yeah. I forget her name.
Yeah, I took Miss Arnett's class. I don't think you were in there because I think we took.
Yes, because she was married to Mr. Arnett.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Okay, maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe because then, dude.
Yeah, because it was always the science classes that we had together. So I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because when I moved down here from Alaska, the curriculum was different. So I was technically a year behind in science.
Got it.
By Texas standard. And so that's why I was always in a year, like a year later's or a year before's science class.
Gotcha,
so that's why I was in y'all's biology class, but I was a year ahead. Same thing with chemistry. Biology was fun. Miss Ramirez.
I couldn't remember any. I couldn't remember any of the teachers' names or the classes really.
Yeah, Miss Ramirez.
I remember chemistry and physics. Like I can remember those classes, but not biology. That was like so long ago.
I can't remember the chemistry teacher's name. She was pretty cool though. And then I remember the science class. The science class was lit. It was me, you, Maddie, Dominic, Ronald,
you really remember
Quincy.
This?
Hell yeah, I remember this, dude. Those are all my boys. Like
That's
everybody,
wild.
all of them are coming. Like I plan on getting the majority of those people on the podcast. Dominic will be on in like when this episode comes out, he'll be on in a couple of days, like a couple weeks. Name? Dominic Goley. Or I might have said that wrong, but Gulley.
I don't remember.
And then Maddie Bear. She lives in Pennsylvania now. She's teaching. Ronald Coleman.
I remember Ronald.
Yeah, Ronald's dope. Quincy just passed the bar exam. He's
Miller?
Or Quincy Hall.
Yeah, Quincy Hall.
He's an attorney. Yeah, he's an attorney now.
Wow.
So I got to get him on this. I got to reach out to him.
Dang.
And then...
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, our science classes were lit with super intelligent people. Who else was in there?
I literally remember. I only remember. I don't know what class that was actually. I don't know. Probably, no, I don't think you were in that class. That's the only one I remember. It was a really, really young blonde teacher.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, I know you weren't in this one. That's the only teacher, the only classmates I can remember. Because I had a bunch of cute girls there, but I don't remember none of the guys.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
So, my name is Jayshun Sephus. Like you said, I went to Killeen High School with them, graduated class of 2012. Best class, you know what it is. And we met in Killeen both played sports, played football, but our main connection was Call of Duty. And so that's where we kind of went down that whole rabbit hole. And just kind of fast forward until now, there's a lot in between high school and now. But now people mainly know me as a day trader in the currency markets and cryptocurrency go-to guy. That's what they kind of look to me as and come to me for advice for, which is kind of annoying, but we'll talk about all that. And so I spend my days now day trading full-time, and I'm a musician. And so I play the piano. I'm very passionate about music. So my days is usually just music, day trading, and then my newfound relationship with my girlfriend. And so that takes up all of my time. So that's basically the gist of who I am in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been trading now full-time for like, what, a year now?
So full-time off in 2019. So it's kind of a long story. I would have to kind of start from the beginning, but I'll make the trading short. So we'll talk about trading just right now in the short term. 2019 is when I decided I have to go further back in order to make it make sense. Okay, cool.
Start the story.
All right,
we got nothing but time.
Perfect.
Nothing but time.
2013, 2014, I was working for BMW, and I had graduated.
I remember that.
Yeah, graduated tech school. Then I got accepted into a very prestigious BMW school. Out of my whole graduating class of like a few hundred people, I was either the only one to get accepted or there was two of us, and like dozens and dozens of people applied. And so I got into that program. It was like the most rigorous thing ever because I had to work part-time an hour away at a BMW dealer and go to school. And I finally graduated that, worked full-time for BMW. And on the outside, that sounds so prestigious and amazing. Like you work for BMW, like you probably make a bunch of money. But mechanics are the most overworked and underpaid people if you do your job ethically. And that was the problem I was having. Like I wasn't able to.
I think that's the issue with the car business in general.
100%. I wasn't able to do my job right, be thorough, fix the car right, do everything the correct way, and still be able to make enough hours because it's strictly commission. And so the more cars you fix, the more money you make. And so there was just a lot of shady business there.
I bet.
And so during my time, my whole thought process was always, I don't want to be a mechanic forever. I'm going to just do this to get out the house and get away from my parents. That was the goal. And so I went back to school for finance in 2014. And I decided, you know what? Finance is cool. I want to get into the investment space. And so I was looking at how to transition there. And this one magic day that changed my entire life forever, driving to work, there was one of those commercials where they're like, do you want to learn how to flip houses with other people's money and come out of no cash at all from your own pocket and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, whoa, how can you flip a house with other people's money? So I went to the free seminars, one of those 30-minute seminars, and they talked about just financial freedom and not having a 9-to-5 and passive income and financial literacy and all these terms I had never heard before. And when I finished that, my mind was blown because it's like I've never seen this entire other side of the world, but there's all these people that are doing things to where they're able to make a lot of money and live just a different lifestyle, and they're not, working 50, 60 hours a week. And so, of course, they were selling like a $200 seminar. It's a 3-day thing. I bought it immediately, and it was for like 3 months later. I didn't even tell my boss till the day before that I had to take off 2 days of work to go because I knew he wasn't going to let me. So I told him the day before, and I went to this event. And that was life-changing because what they taught was real estate wholesaling in the beginning, basics to real estate investing. So for me, that changed everything. And so I went just on a crazy, just like rabbit hole of learning everything about real estate investing, understanding financial literacy and just what it means to manage money, and just understanding passive income in the real estate space. And so I bought all the books and the courses, and then I started a little wholesaling company, and I tried to go in that route, and it made me recognize that, wow, to be an entrepreneur, not only do you just have to have like the opportunity to make money, but it's so personal. It's all in your personal development. It's all in your mental strength, and it's just all in your ability to just be a different version of you because you're going to be in so many new and uncomfortable situations. And so immediately I recognized that, wow, I have to grow. I have to become more social. I have to become more confident. I have to understand sales. I have to learn so many things that I didn't know. And for me, that was exciting at the time because I'm like, this is a chance to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
And so I spent years reading every book you could imagine. I had sold in about a 2-year span. I sold like 100 books that I would take to half price books and sell them, because I was just buying so many and just reading every day for like 50 pages to 100 pages a day, just going crazy. And I read all the real estate books, personal development, financial literacy, to understand this stuff. And I felt like I was superhuman, because it's like you discover some information that can change your life and those around you. And so we'll fast forward, 2016 is when I went to a real estate seminar, met a now good friend of mine, and it was his first time. We ended up linking up and doing a couple wholesale deals together. And for those that may not know what that means in the real estate world, if you see a home that's like busted up or vacant or just really run down, there's investors that want to buy that home and come flip it, kind of like what you're doing. And so there's a middleman called a wholesaler, and their hustle is that they go find these houses. And let's just say we find one for $150,000. That's what it'll be worth if it's in great shape. We might put it on a contract at $80,000 because it's super run down, and I'll sell it to Jordan for $90,000. And then he'll take it and put $20,000 into it and sell it for $150,000 and walk away with $30,000-$40,000. And me as the wholesaler, we make the in between of $5,000 to $10,000. And so that's what we were doing. And we did a couple deals like that, which was stressful but fun at the same time. And it just opened up a whole new door.
What'd you learn from that experience?
Oh my gosh, that number one, salespeople make the real money in the world. Like, if you really want to make money in the corporate world and you're not trying to spend a million years getting to upper management, go into sales. You're going to make so much money in sales. But what I've learned from that is that your ability to succeed in the world of entrepreneurship or real estate or sales is a direct reflection of just your personal development, just how much you believe in yourself, your skills, your abilities, your willingness to learn, and just be consistent and persistent. And I recognized that there was a lot of areas that I wasn't good at. And I recognized I needed people skills. I needed to be confident. I needed to learn how to speak. You have to learn how to be assertive. You have to learn how to just communicate and just know how to negotiate. There were so many skills that you have to learn that I wasn't privy to. And so it told me, okay, slow down and go learn all this stuff. And so it took a lot of time. And one thing that I did in 2016 when I decided to become a real estate agent, I challenged myself. And I said, this entire year, I'm going to go to 2 social events every single week. One is going to be real estate business related, and the other is just going to be a regular social event. And so for that entire year, every week I went to at least 2 events, and I would have to go meet people. I had a challenge to hand out a certain amount of business cards, and I just networked very, very hard and just worked on my people skills and social skills all of 2016. And that was probably the biggest impact that I've had on myself in terms of growing, is just learning how to just be in those random situations and meet people and talk, and learning how to just be myself, how to explain myself, how to connect with people.
And those events that you're going to, how do you find those?
So at the time I was on Eventbrite heavy, and then Facebook events I was starting to use. And so Eventbrite, go on there, go to the networking section, go to the business section.
B-R-I-T-E.
B-R-I-T-E.
B-R-I-T-E?
Yes.
This is a website? Or?
Yeah. So it's basically like Facebook events, but it's just a website where they just have all the events that are going on in the city. And so I would go check the networking and business section and just look at all the events everywhere. And then every week I would just pick a business one and I would go. And then social events could be music events or just anything that's just like casual.
Did you have to pay to go to these events? Were a lot free? Like, so, how does that work?
Majority of them are free events because it's more so just kind of like networking events, just like business gathering events. Like, hey, for instance, there was a meetup that was reoccurring every Thursday. It was called RIA, and that's Real Estate Investor Association. And so every Thursday you'll get together to be hundreds of real estate professionals. In the first hour, you just network, meet people, connect, and then they have a speaker and they present something. And it's just events like that. And so it's just free to show up, and then you just kind of meet people. They'll have sponsors. You can pay to do things and stuff like that. And so I wasn't paying too often unless it was like a formal event with like an actual speaker. Then I would go to those.
So walk me through this, because I think this is good information for people. Walk me through this. You walk into, so you find an event that you want to go to, right? Mm-hmm. It's a Wednesday. You show up. Mm-hmm. What was going through your mind? Like, what was the agenda when you showed up? What were you trying to accomplish?
So, great question. On any business event that I went to, my focus was always to meet specific individuals adjacent to what I did. So I'm like, as a real estate agent, I need to meet people in the mortgage space, the title space. I need to meet investors who are cash buyers. And so I would show up here with a bunch of business cards, and the goal is always to pass out as many as you can and collect as many as you can. So I'm going up to somebody random, hello, how you doing? What's, here's my name, what's your name? And just kind of just network and just speak to them. And I was learning how to not be awkward, how to be approachable, how to be sociable, how to just have a conversation. And the biggest thing I had to learn was how to express who I am and what I do and get you to trust and believe in what I'm telling you that I'm capable of. That was the biggest thing. And so learning how to just make sure the way you present yourself is adjacent to the message you're trying to get across. And so that was very important, learning how to just kind of walk with confidence, learning how to give your elevator speech, which is so important in the business entrepreneur world.
And break that down for someone who isn't familiar with that term.
So in the world of sales and the world of business, you're always trying to sell yourself. You're always trying to convince people why they should want to work with you or connect with you. And so working on your elevator pitch, as they call it, is just this analogy that if you're in an elevator with someone, you might have 10 to 20 seconds before they're gone forever. So how can, in that amount of time, you convey your message and convince them of who you are, what you do, why you do it, and why they should be able to trust you in that small amount of time? And that's not easy. And so it takes time to be able to be very precise with what you say for who you are and what you do, and get people to be willing to trust, that they can work with you and that there's somebody that you want to do business with. And so that was something every single event I would work on, going up to somebody and being able to give that off and get them engaged in a small amount of time. And
what's an example of what you would say to them?
Well, so for me, I served a unique role in the real estate space. So there's typically people that are on the retail side and there's people that are on the investor side. And usually there aren't many people that mix. But my whole way that I wanted to separate myself, I was like, my unique selling point is going to be that I mix both. And so anytime I would go talk to somebody, I would introduce myself. Hello, Mr. Investor. How you doing today? What's your specialty? What do you do? Oh, well, my name is John, and I usually invest in single family homes in the North Dallas area. I would be like, that's interesting. Do you have any real estate agents that you work with? And then he would be like, kind of, I have a few. And then I would just position myself and tell him that, listen, I have spent the last few years studying every aspect of the investment space, as well as going to school to be a real estate agent. So when it comes to having somebody that can find you properties on and off market and be able to reach agents and have the capacity of knowledge to understand the type of investments you're doing, you're not going to meet a better agent that's more fit to do what you're looking for at a discounted price, because we understand that price is important to you. And so this is why you should connect with me, and we should sit down and see if we can do some business together. And so you talk to people like that, and the next thing you know, they're going to be like, okay, cool. I'll sit down. I usually don't talk to agents because y'all are pesky, but you seem like you kind of understand my space. So let's talk. And so that just became very easy, just meeting investors and a lot of people in that space and being able to just connect. And so just from 2016 alone, I met so many people that are still in my life today and that I see doing amazing things just from that year of just networking. And I'm like, wow, if 1 year of networking can change your circle like that, just imagine if you just constantly apply that in your life and you're just always striving to meet more people. And so that was kind of the goal of 2016 in the real estate space.
And what that lead you to?
Well, that led me to recognizing that real estate is one of those things that they show you and they advertise as like, this can change your life, be an agent, be an investor. It's really simple. You're going to make a lot of money, but it's extremely difficult and requires so much work and so much commitment. And so I went into it thinking, I'm going to be a millionaire in the next year. I'm going to go sell 1 million houses. I'm going to do a bunch of investment deals. My first year as a real estate agent, I did one deal. And that one deal paid me $1,800. And I spent so much time trying to understand why. And what I ended up learning is that for your first year as an agent, that's very common. Most agents do less than 5 deals, and they'll be lucky to get 5. But most agents do 1 to 3 deals that first year, because it's just the sales cycle is so long and it takes time to build up that clientele. But for me, it was just being afraid. Like, I was afraid to talk on the phone. I was afraid to approach strangers. I was just afraid to just go gain business. And so it was very difficult for me because I was just so much in my shell and I wasn't willing to do the basic things needed to try to go gain business. And so if I was me now in 2016 with all the experience since then, I would have sold a bunch of houses because I had so many prospects and so many possible clients that I just fumbled because I was just too afraid. And so I learned that you have to constantly be willing to be uncomfortable and learn and understand that this never stops when it comes to prospecting in real estate.
Being uncomfortable gets a lot of people.
Bro, so
that's what gets a lot of people.
My favorite thing in life that I've learned is taking cold showers. That changed everything for me because I believe.
Shout out to Rocky.
For sure.
Not Rocky.
Oh, I thought you meant boxer.
That's
Rocky.
funny. No. I do call him Rocky Balboa, but
Gotcha.
But a good friend of mine, he does the same thing every morning.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes on a run 7 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then right after the run, he takes a cold shower every day.
It's crazy because you never want to do it, and it never feels good. But I just have this principle that I had to teach myself that in order to be willing to do things that you're uncertain about and uncomfortable doing, you have to have a principal bank that your mind can pull from. And so the way that I like to break it down, if I'm trying to go take on this new challenge in the real estate world or trading world, and it's very uncomfortable, I don't know what it's going to be like, I don't know what it's going to require from me, and I'm afraid to do it. If I have something in my past that my mind can pull from and kind of parallel and say, hey, remember when you were in this uncomfortable situation and you did it, and this is what it felt like, it felt liberating, you were willing to do it, and you ended up doing it.
It's powerful.
Right. Having that to pull from allows you to be willing to take on what's in front of you. And for me, that was kind of the equivalent of the cold showers, because every single morning I would stand there, turn it on, and be like, I don't want to do this. It's going to be uncomfortable. And literally I would jump in and scream every morning because it was just so uncomfortable and you don't want to be there.
Sucks.
But I'm like, the fact that I'm willing to get up and do this every single morning shows that I'm willing to put myself in a position of where I'm willing to do the things that will better my life, even if it doesn't feel good. And so just that small little activity every day, I would think about throughout the day. Every time I got to do something difficult, I'm like, think about this morning you took that cold shower and you really didn't want to, but you did it anyway. So now that you got to cold call this person or go to this meeting, I know you don't want to, but you know what this feels like, so go do it. And so that would help all the time. And so now what I use for day trading, and we're kind of fast forwarding a little bit, but on the topic, I go run every morning, like I told you. And so I always, at the end, I get upset if I finish my run and I'm not completely exhausted and I'm still having energy. And so I always will push myself harder at the end. And so every time I'm running, when I'm super tired and I get to the point where I'm like, maybe I'm going to stop a little bit sooner, I say to myself, you have this goal with day trading. Are you going to stop a little bit sooner before you reach that goal? Is the answer yes or no? The answer is obviously no. So if you're willing to stop out here on a simple run, what makes you think you're going to keep pushing when things get tough with day trading? And so every single morning, I use that to motivate me when I run. And inversely, every single day when I'm in my charts, when I'm scared, when the markets are going up and down, when I don't know what I'm doing and I want to pull out because I want to be conservative, I say, did you stop this morning when you were running, or did you keep pushing because you knew that you had to make it to that goal? And even though it didn't feel good, you kept going and you made it and you felt amazing. So you know what you have to do, so continue to push, and then you end up getting that goal and you're just like, wow, this feels amazing. It's all because you have something to pull from to just remind you, you know what this feels like, so don't be afraid of it. And so that has helped my life tremendously.
I love that.
And
write that down for me, please, and where we are.
For me, I had to learn to develop that because I dealt with really, really, really bad anxiety. Because life was interesting from my perspective. In Killeen, I was the oldest child of the family, and I was always just the poster child, to do everything right, Mr. Most Likely to Succeed in my family, the first to go to college. I had the big head, and I played the piano, and everybody thought that was amazing. So I always just felt like life was easy, and it would just come at me, and I'm gonna go make $1 million in a day. I just felt
so many parallels in our story.
I just thought that I was just I could do anything. Not that I can't, but I just thought it would come easy. And so when I got to the real world and you try to succeed and the real world kicks you in the pants every single day.
Preach.
And
Keep
it's
going.
just you're not as dope as you think you are with ease. You got to put in the work every single day. And after years of trying to reach these goals, and because I told my granddad I was 21 and I said 23 I'm gonna make 100K, 25 I'm gonna make 250, 30 I'm gonna be a millionaire. When I made it to 23 and I was making the same or even less money than I was at 21, I'm like, it's whatever. I got to 25, and then you get to 24, 25, and life is it's not that simple. You got to put in the effort. It doesn't just come to you. That had a very bad mental and emotional effect on me because like it started to make me doubt my capabilities. Maybe I'm not as smart as I think I am. Maybe I can't go do this. Maybe I can't succeed. Maybe I'm not going to be good in real estate. And that took a really heavy toll on me for many, many years. Like I couldn't shake that feeling because life was just so difficult because I moved to Dallas. No family here, no money saved, no knowledge of anything. So, of course, I made a bunch of mistakes, took out payday loans, just did a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to. And so just seeing the negative consequences hit me just made me feel like, man, like I'm just, maybe this isn't built for me. Maybe I'm not, made for this. And so I spiraled and had really bad anxiety, really bad depression. I would wake up in the middle of the night, not able to breathe, just sweating, drenched in sweat, just terrible thoughts. And it took many months to try to fight that before I finally got over it. And there was just so many lingering effects that all came from that. And so that's when I had to figure out a way to be willing to push and take chances and believe in myself when it's just like I've been in this mental space for so long. And so that's where having that parallel principal bank to come from, to pull from, that's where the idea came from. And it was a book I read. I probably won't be able to think of which book exactly, but there was a book that talked about that principle. And I'm like, this is dope. And I want to try it. And I did. And that just completely changed things.
And sorry, which principle?
Just the idea of having the principal bank with like the going for the run and saying you didn't stop. That whole ideology, it came from a book. I don't remember what book, but they were talking about doing small, like having small wins in your life that you can kind of pull from when you get to the bigger things. So when life is hard, you know what it feels like. And so I just took that and I ran with it. And that has just been life changing. Like to this day, every day I have to tell myself and remind myself, like, you're dope and you can do this. Don't stop. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't fall for that fear that you feel in the moment. Like that's supposed to be there. That means you're doing something right. And if you don't have the right tools to fight that, many people aren't going to be able to overcome that. And that's what stops the majority of us. But I dedicated my life to entrepreneurship so early on that I didn't have a choice. And so I just had to continue pushing. And it's gotten me to the point where now I'm on the cusp of finally achieving what I'm looking to achieve. And I would say I'm like 6 months away, and I'll go more in depth with that with day trading. But that was the real estate story and everything. And that took us up to 2016. And I got introduced to day trading in 2017. And it's interesting because I was listening to Reggie and he was talking about he got introduced to I Am Academy. That's exactly who I got introduced to. And just like him, my first few months, I lost a bunch of money. I didn't like the team I was on. And so after about 6 months, I was like, maybe this isn't for me. And so I left there, but I still kept learning just like independently on my own. And I recognized that there's real money that can be made in these markets. And one of my friends, he said something that was so interesting that's like, but very true. He was like, if I'm able to lose the $1,000 I just lost, if I did things the right way, that means I could have won. So apparently there's money that can really be made in the markets. And ever since he said that, it stuck with me because I'm like, how many times have I lost? If I knew what I was doing, that would have been money gained. And so I just stuck with it. And for trading, for me, the big paradigm was when I met a friend of a friend in Dallas, and I sat down with him because he had his own team, and I was trying to interview people to see who I wanted to join because I'm like, I want to be a part of something. I need somebody to teach me. I sat down with him, and we talked trading for like an hour, and he was like, but forget all that. Just so you really know that I'm really about this and I know what I'm doing, I'm going to show you. And so he pulled out his phone, pulled up his account. He was like, look at this. This is live. It says real. This is all the stuff you need to see. And he went to the week. He was like, look at what this says for the week. And it said $90,000 profit for the past week. At that moment, I needed to see nothing else in life. And I'm like, sign me up. I'm here for life. Show me what I got to do. I'm committed to understanding and learning this so I can eventually reach these levels one day with trading. But his is a little extreme because he now manages a fund and has a lot of money that he trades. And so that's not typical for just a regular investor. Don't think that 90 grand a week is what we're going to get to. But just saying it's possible to make whatever amount that you desire, that if you continue and be consistent, you can grow to the point where you are managing a big amount of money, which that leads me to present day where I'm at. So with trading over these last 4 years since 2017, I knew that this fits my personality type. I was always a math geek. I went to school for finance. Like that was just my thing. And I always wanted to learn, but it just seemed so complex. And thankfully, through a lot of different teams and people, I learned a lot of great skills and I just kept building. But in 2019, when I really started to get serious and had a few $100, I'm like, it'll be nearly impossible and take forever to grow $200 into an account balance that allows me to make $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Like, that's just, it's doable, but it's just not realistic. And if it is, it's going to take you forever of consistency, making $10 to $15 a day and just growing and growing and growing. And I recognize that that's probably not the most feasible route for me to go. So I put day trading on the back burner for about a year. And this was like right before COVID hit. I had put day trading on the back burner. And during that time of COVID, I moved back to Dallas the first time, started working in a friend's business. He had a construction company, and so we were doing that. I was building the CRM and kind of managing a lot of the back-end software, stuff like that. And then during that time, I started drop shipping, which is what I was telling you about earlier. And so basically what that is, it's the equivalent of when you shop on Amazon and you buy something online and then they ship it to you and then you got your item. And so drop shipping is basically going directly to the source and finding these items and finding an item that you like, and then you build a website, an e-store around that item, and now people come to your store and they buy that item, and that order is sent directly to the supplier and they ship the item to the end buyer, and you never have to see the product. So I thought that was so intriguing. I'm like, I want to learn this. So I spent 6 months every day just like grinding, and I ended up building a total of like 13 different stores that I ran through to understand before I finally got one successful store. And I had built a shoe store, and on that shoe store, this is a win for me. It may not be a lot of money to a lot of other people, but in 3 weeks I had grossed about $2,000 on that store, and I had netted about $800 in my pocket. And the reason why it's so incredible to me is because once your store is built and you're running your Facebook ads, you literally have to do nothing but just watch people come to your store, they place an order, and everything is handled automatically on the back end. So for me, that was $2,000 in 3 weeks that I just sat there and just let come to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I could do this? And so I was getting ready to really ramp it up with drop shipping and spend more money on Facebook ads, because I feel like I had mastered that because I spent so much money on it. And then Facebook banned me from advertising. I had launched 3 stores that week, and one was a medical item. I didn't know you couldn't advertise medical products on Facebook. And then another product that I had advertised, the person I hired to write my ad description, they mentioned the word alcohol like 2 or 3 times, and I didn't know you couldn't say that in a Facebook ad. And so Facebook has this rule: if they reject your ads too many times, they're going to ban your account for suspicious activity or feeling like you're trying to get around the rules. And for me, the way that I advertised, I had so many different ad accounts per store, and I would run sometimes 5 to 10 ads for one item. And so all of those ads get rejected, and then I go change the ad copy, and then they all get rejected again, and then I change the ad copy, change the video, then they all get rejected again. You've got anywhere from like 10 to 20 different ads at one time that gets like, rejected. And so Facebook saw this for all the stores I was running and was like, we don't like this. This is suspicious. We think you're trying to circumnavigate our rules. We keep rejecting your ads. So we're going to place a permanent ban. You can't advertise on Facebook no more. So that was a very unfortunate hit, because I really feel like I had just figured out the key to drop shipping. I had a successful store. I had a model to build off of. I built enough stores to know how to design it to make it to where it could, just attract people and retain people and convert. And I spent, like I said, thousands running Facebook ads to learn. And I feel like I was finally dialed in. Like the first launch day of my shoe store, I generated, I think, close to 1,000 unique visitors to my store and only spent like $10 or $15 on advertising. So it got to the point where I was able to get a lot of traffic for very low money. Like, I just figured out the ad stuff. And so, but then I got banned from that, and I'm just like, man, all this work, and then it went to nowhere.
Was there not another avenue?
So that's the thing. They always recommend you have a second Facebook account in case things like this happen. And I did have a second Facebook account, but like a dummy, I had that account linked on all my stores, and so they ended up banning both of my accounts. And so I'm just like, dang it. And so just actually like maybe a month ago, I just made a new Facebook to see if I would still be banned, if it was just like they would know my info, but apparently not. So I'm like, now I finally have access if I want to drop ship again. So I'm keeping that on the back burner. So there's a few items that I really want to sell. One is actually I just bought this wallet. It's similar to the Ridge wallet.
Yeah.
And so Ridge sells this for $105 retail.
I know. I bought 2 of them.
Yeah, this cost me $8. So I would retail this at $30 to $40.
That's what he was about to
Exactly. So I'm just like, that's how dropshipping works. I would see this. It's a U.S. supplier. I would build a store around it. I would advertise it as like a surplus, an outlet. We have an overstock. People come buy it for $40. It'll ship to you in a week. And so that's what I would do. And that's what I'm still tempted, but I've already kind of committed myself to day trading. And this is for me the bread and butter. And so with my day trading journey, it finally all culminated to a moment where I found a way to make a living from it and a real outlet from it where I could actually make real money. And in the day trading world, in the United States, the rules are very stringent on being able to trade and give trading advice, and just like being at investment firms, like it's very stringent.
Yeah.
And so the United Kingdom, the UK, is like the day trading like capital mecca of the world. That's where most of your day trading takes place. That's where majority of your forex traders are. That's where majority of your firms are. Like the UK is like the spot. And so over there, they're allowed to have something called prop firms, which stands for proprietary firms. And basically what they're allowed to do is generate a pool of money to invest, and they're able to hire traders that don't need their Series 7 or Series 63 licenses, and they're able to split the profits with these traders to manage the funds for them. And so basically what it means is that they have millions of dollars. They have a strict evaluation process because they want to make sure you're legit. And if you pass, then they give you access to this capital and you trade it on their behalf and you split the profits with them. And so I found this and I'm just like, whoa, this sounds too good to be true. So I kind of sat on it for a minute, and then it started becoming more mainstream. I started seeing a lot of people that I knew personally posting their certificates of completion showing that they've done it. Look, I passed. And so I'm like, let me look more into this. And so I started really doing my due diligence, and more, it became more mainstream to where now all of my close day trading friends, the most common thing to do is trade for a prop firm. Like nobody even wants to trade their own money anymore, because what's the point when you have access to anywhere from $10,000 to $200,000? And so to kind of go into more detail, the way that it works is there's an evaluation period. And during this time, they want to see you make a certain amount of profit without exceeding a certain amount of loss. And they have very strict rules about the amounts of trades you can take, the trade size that you can take, what you can trade, when you can trade. So it's like very strict rules. And they want to see if you can stay within this and prove to be profitable. And so there's a few companies. FTMO is the most popular one, but I chose one that is called CTI, City Trader Emporium, and their model is unique because, of course, they're incentivized. The more money I have to trade, the more profits I make, which means the more they make because we're splitting it. And so their model is simply that you can start with anywhere from 10 to 75,000, and every time you make 10% profits on that account, they just about double your account balance, and they keep allowing your account to grow every time you're able to hit that 10% number. And during the evaluation phase, you have to make 7% profit without losing more than 5%, I want to say. And so I just started about 3 weeks ago, and I'm already about halfway to that profit goal. I'm at about 3% profit. So I anticipate about, probably to be safe, about another 4 more weeks, I'll be able to hit that 7% profit goal. And what that will mean, once I do that, I will get access to my first managed fund, and we're called portfolio managers. And so I'll be starting with a $10,000 account, and I'll be trading that money for them. And then every time I hit 10% profits, it'll go from 10,000 to 17,000 to 30,000 to 50,000 to 84 to 115 to 200, etc., all the way until you get up to 2 million. And so you're literally able to have your account balance just about double every time you make 10% profits. And so this was world changing for us day traders. And so now all of my close friends in my circles, they're all either doing the evaluations or they've all recently passed. And so I finally got to the point where I was confident enough, because it just goes back to the whole just the self-doubt thing. And I'm like, I've been doing this for years, and I know I'm dope at this. I've studied every aspect of day trading, and I'm good. I just need money. And so this is an opportunity. So I finally mustered up the courage to do the evaluation phase. And so far, I've been killing it. Like, my trades have just been hitting, and it just feels like no pressure, because it's like I'm not trading my own money or somebody else's money with the risk of blowing it all, because they've got very strict rules. So I feel more relaxed, and I'm just focused on just the fundamentals of how to day trade. And so now I'm just super excited, because once I hit that 7% goal, it's go time. And I anticipate it'll take about 7 months to grow to the managing a $100,000 account mark. And the split is 60-40. So 60% of profits I keep, 40% they keep. So on a 100K account, the goal is 10,000 to be able to grow to the 200K account. So that would mean that'll be about $6,000 that I will pocket. And then every time you grow the account, your profit grows with it. And so this has just provided a crazy amount of opportunity for all of us traders. And so now everybody is flocking to this. This is the company I'm doing, FTMO, the most popular. They have the 100K account, which is like the most popular account, where if you pass the challenge, you get the 100K account off rip and you trade that. And every 3 months, if you're at least 10% profitable, they increase your account by like 25%. And so they were kind of the first, the biggest in the space, kind of like the Uber of the space. So they are the most popular, and that's what the most people are doing. But now there's a lot more prop firms that are coming up that people know about, like the one that I'm doing, for instance. A friend of mine put me on, and we chose this one. And so I'm really excited about that, and it's just giving me a reason to continue day trading, which is what I found my passion to be. And I just enjoy every element of it, and it fits my personality type. So that's basically where I'm at and what I'm working on in terms of day trading. And I anticipate in 6 months, life will be very nice.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's dope.
Very much.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I got to be an amateur real quick. Okay. I got to pee.
Go ahead.
Hold it down.
I got you.
Hang out with Jeffrey.
Cool.
Give me half a second. And my ass is cramping too, so give me 1 second. That Topo Chico.
Do you need a foam roller?
Nah, good.
we got you over here. Mr. Jeffrey, what is your background, since it's not you said sound engineering?
No, so I work with Jordan.
Gotcha. At Rooms to Go? I'm so jealous. I told him for like a year I was trying to get on at a furniture store as a salesperson, because I know they make good money. A friend of a friend works at Haverty's and makes really nice money, and it was just so difficult. I got to the 3rd round of interviews at, I want to say, I forget what the furniture store was called. Like, is there one that's like Denver Furniture, Denver Mattress or something? I don't know. But there's something like that, a big one in Killeen. I got to the last round, and they're just like, sorry, we chose somebody else. I was just like, shoot, so close. Because I'm like, I know if I can get in that door, I'll be solid. But I just could not convince them. I could not finesse my resume enough. And I think that's what it was.
Right
so
now, our store is about best. You can go as far as
I bet.
It's like a Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And they're about hiring anybody with pulls. So.
Man, he was telling me that earlier. I'm just like, that's so tempting.
It is true.
It's very tempting. And
don't do it. You're on the right track,
that's
man.
what I was about to say. I committed to doing this challenge and really trying to go hard with day trading, all because of getting into a relationship a few months back. I just felt like I can't be all over the place. I've got to grow, because she's very well accomplished in like what she does. She works for a nonprofit in Dallas, and it's like a big nonprofit, and she's like one of the higher up managers there. So she's very well, like degree, like 2 master's degrees, like she's dope. And so it's just naturally, I feel like I can't just be like regular, like I got to step my game up. And so that's when I told myself, you can't let fear or the fear of being average to hold you back. Like, just get out there and just try. And so I was just telling a friend 2 days ago, he's like, bro, let's start wholesaling together. And I'm like, I have a very unified focus on just one goal. I want to pass this Forex challenge, and I want to grow the account to a certain amount so I can just kind of have this under my belt. And from there, the sky is the limit. And so that's my focus so far in terms of like where I'm at with just life and just goals and whatnot.
That's dope. That's dope. Mm-hmm. And hearing this is cool for me, because the main reason why I like doing this podcast, the main reason I like picking people's brains, especially people who are doing things along the same lines that I want to do, and not necessarily day trading per se, but and just growing in life and progressing towards that financial freedom. And the reason why it's so cool for me is because it's a common theme of the podcast is that you're not the only one that feels that way,
bro.
And so hearing you say the certain things that you're saying, like the little things, like the way that you motivate yourself when you're on the run, or the way that you talk to yourself when you're like day trading. You're like, Dad, did you stop during the run? Dude, I feel that. I do that a lot. And the principal bank, I haven't read that in a book, but I do that naturally. Like that's something that I have. That's something that I've been doing on my own. And seeing you put it into words just makes that much more sense of it, because the thing that I struggle with a lot and is like, I always feel weird. Like I feel like I'm weird.
Bro, I'm
right? With you. And hearing successful people come on the podcast and talk about what it took to get to where they are, or in the process of where they are, you start to realize that we're only weird to people who aren't going to put in the work, who aren't putting in the work, who don't want to do it, or who don't want to strive to be this way. And that's perfectly fine if that's not your cup of tea.
There's a quote before you continue.
Go for it.
That says, average people call me crazy, smart people call me for advice. And that was just like the realest thing I've ever heard. Like that perfectly sums it up right there. Like,
that's fire.
Only the people that understand are gonna get you and make you feel normal. And for me, that was so big, because I've always been very to myself. I'm an introvert. I stay at home, and on the entrepreneur journey, everything is unique to your life and what you want to achieve. Like there is no specific roadmap for Jordan Brodey, because you're the only one. And so it would always make me feel insecure. Like, am I far enough? Am I the only one that's went through this? Like, are other people trying to do the things I'm doing? And it just makes you less confident in taking those steps, until, like you said, you start to meet other people and you start hearing that they feel the same way. They battle the same obstacles. They're trying to do the same general type of thing. And you recognize that I am on the right path. And like, me being unconventional is something that it takes, because one of my favorite books is called Originals, and it just talks about a bunch of entrepreneurs and how all of them are so peculiar, and their way to success was just so unconventional and went against the rules. But if they weren't willing to just be completely different and unconventional, they wouldn't have made it. And so just reading that book and seeing so many examples, it was just like, wow, this is like interesting. I feel better about being weird, being different, knowing that my family thinks I'm crazy because I'm not going the traditional route that they want me to, but I know that it will all work in the end. And so that just speaks to the importance of just having the right people around you. Like my Dallas day trading team was called the Tribe. And so we would always talk about, you need the right tribe of people surrounded with you. So this way you can always be able to encourage and motivate each other. And like, that is so hard to find, like you were saying earlier. That's been my biggest problem for me, just being to myself, is that I have so much energy, so much passion, so much ambition. And I either find like most of my friends already may not be as passionate as me or as willing to take chances, or the friends that I do have, they're completely fearless and they go off, and then I get scared because I'm just like, man, this is a lot. I don't know if I can do it. So it's always a weird in between.
Trying to find that balance.
Yeah, and that's all I've been trying to find, is just people that are on the path and that are willing to just commit to it and just get up and just do the work, and just, know that we're going to get there at some point, and we're all going to take a different route but hold each other accountable. And
I think that's important, because to reference back to the beginning of your story, when you were telling your grandfather that at 21 you're going to make this amount, 25 you're going to make this amount, 30 you're going to make this amount, that pressure is brought on to us by social media. And we talked about this. We talked about this before the podcast episode, before it started, when we were just kicking it. We talked about this, that Adam Curry brought this up on the Joe Rogan podcast. I think the episode came out a couple weeks ago. I'm just now finishing it. And he talks about how when you sign up for social media, there's not a warning. There's not a warning symbol like everything else we do. Think about everything else in this entire world.
Has to be a disclaimer.
The biggest thing that I learned recently is that for instance, this is gonna sound real crazy, but I'm going somewhere with this. So, eating a burger, medium or medium rare. We've grown up because the FDA told us that we had to cook this to a certain temperature in order for it to be quote unquote safe.
Right.
What we're learning is that was just so that people wouldn't fucking sue if they did get sick. It's not necessarily that it had to be cooked to that temperature, and that might be a bad example, but pork is a big one. Pork, you can keep it a little juicy. Like, you don't have to cook it all the way like chicken. You can keep it a little bit. And that's one of the examples. And what you learn, so to tie this all together, there's a warning on everything. Everything is so that you don't get sued. There's a warning. It's hot on your coffee, so that you don't have another McDonald's situation, so that you don't get sued. Everybody is looking for that easy way out. And it's fascinating that social media doesn't have a warning before, even though we know it's the cause of multiple suicides. Bro. It's the cause of mental health. It's the cause. I feel like so people talk about mental health today and how there's more awareness to it, right? And I feel like that's true. And I feel like it's good that we talk about our mental health more. Right. However, at the same time, I feel like people before this didn't talk about their mental health. Not necessarily that they weren't experiencing the same thing, but it wasn't as extreme. Like, it wasn't as extreme. Like, this is recent due to social media.
100%.
And the reason why I bring this up, based on your story, is that you didn't, like, yeah, you set these expectations on yourself based on other people that you saw. Like, man, there's so many successful 20-year-olds.
Exactly.
Right?
And you feel like I can be
And I feel like, damn, dude, why am I not there yet? I get that so much. But what I've learned in the last couple of months and really honing it in is that we are on our own path, and that we are still really young, and most people don't get to this position that we're striding for until their late 30s, early 40s, and that is okay.
Exactly.
There's gonna be outliers. There's gonna be people who figure this shit out instantly, and those people are just like the LeBron Jameses of the NBA, the Michael Jordans of the NBA, the Steph Currys. Like, those are those people. There's going to be outliers in everything that we do in life. There's going to be people who make $1 million selling insurance when they're 25.
Right.
But that's one motherfucker.
Right.
That's one person. That's not going to be all of us.
Exactly.
And all of us are on our own path. And as long as we stick to it and we trust what we're doing, and you trust the process, you enjoy the process, you do the little things well, we're gonna get to that level. We just might not get there as fast, and that's perfectly fine.
Exactly. That is the realest thing ever, and it took forever for me to accept and understand that, because I always
took me till this year,
right? Like, till recent, like, because there's a few questions I had to ask myself that I'll get to, but I always felt like I'm gonna be a child prodigy and go on Steve Harvey and be successful when I'm super young. And so when I felt like I didn't achieve those things, it just made me feel like, I'm worthless, and I'll
depressing.
Never be able to, right? It's
terrible, and it just destroys your confidence. Like, I was thinking about this recently. I was thinking about how much more confident I was when I was like 18, 19, and compared to my middle of my 20s, like, no confidence. And I'm like, why did that change? Like, why was I super confident back then, but I'm not confident now? And then I'm thinking, like, dude, it's just the societal pressure, this pressure that we get, that gets exasperated. Thank you. By seeing these super young successful people. And I think a perfect example of someone to look up to, and you'll relate to this, and I know nobody listening will know who the fuck I'm talking about, but go look him up. Nate Shot.
A gamer?
Yeah. So Nate Shot, quick story. Nate Shot's the perfect example of someone who trusts the process. I've been watching that dude since he was a manager at McDonald's. Now this guy owns one of the biggest gaming organizations in the world. They just did a collab with Gucci.
Dang, man.
And if you just started following, he's a young guy. I think he's maybe 28, 29, 30, in that range.
Did
if you just start...
I feel like it sounds very familiar. I feel like we may have...
I don't know if we played him. I don't think we played him. But when we were playing, he was just starting. He was still working at McDonald's in MW2. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm upset that we stopped playing. But beside the point. he's still a young male. He's still a young man. And if you started following him within the last year or two, you'd be like, damn, dude, he just has all this success. But that motherfucker's been grinding since he was 17 years old, working at McDonald's. He's been grinding to this moment to get to where he is. It's been over 10 years. It's been like 11 years since when he started this grind. So, but if you just started following him recently, you would think that he had this success the entire time. And that's just not the case. This dude has been on the grind, making sacrifices since he was 17 years old. And now he owns a gaming organization that's worth well over $100 million. I don't know about $100 million. Last time I checked 2 years ago, it was worth 25 mil. I would imagine 50 to 100 by now. And the organization is 100 Thieves. And what he's done really well is that not only has he created super good gaming teams who have went on to win championships, but he's also made a fashion. He's made a like a Gucci of his own. So his drops are real exclusive. So they sell out in minutes. We're talking like Yeezys. We're talking like, the new Jordans, stuff like that. He's created that same concept, but in a gaming organization. And he's selling these clothes that are fire, but they sell out like that.
And you're selling them to gamers.
Selling them to gamers, dude.
Easy, because they want to be cool. They want to be looked at. They want to feel like I'm dope. So it's just like it makes perfect sense.
It's true.
You know how much money?
True.
You know how many MLG tournaments we could have won if we were still in it right now?
I try not to think about it.
We would be on Envy or some of these teams, right? Because there's one that has an HQ. There's two that have a few HQs in Dallas, but like I work out of WeWork when I go to Dallas, and there's one that has a gaming station HQ at American Airlines Arena. So it's like you're sitting here working and you're just looking, and they have their own headquarters for video games now.
Bro, we were in it in its prime time when you really think about it. Not to really depress us so that we cry ourselves to sleep tonight, but when you think about it, dude, the Ninjas, the Nate Shots, the Shrouds, the Summits, these ginormous streamers that are making millions of dollars now. We started the same time they did. Right. We were in it at that time. And what held us back was just not...
The infrastructure wasn't there.
Was people telling you that you can't make any money doing this. And that self-doubt that, nah, I'm not really that good. Motherfucker, I was fucking clean at Black Ops 2. I was clean. And the point is that no matter what it is that you want to do, just do it. Just fucking do it. Don't put these pressures on yourself that it's going to take, that you're going to do it in 6 months or you're going to do it in a year, because it's not realistic.
Right.
Joe Rogan was just talking about for stand-up comedy, it takes about 10 years to get good at that shit.
Big
and
Sean.
those first 5 years, you're probably not going to make any money.
Right. Big Sean said, it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. Like, that's very real. And most people don't understand that. They just see...
That's another beautiful quote.
Right, they see when things happen, but they don't see that whole decade that it took to get to that moment to be in a position where you can become successful.
And that's why social media needs a fucking warning sign.
Exactly.
That's why when you sign up for Instagram, there should be a warning sign saying that what you're going to see on this may or may not correlate to real life. This may or may not be realistic. This may or may not, because again, if you just started following Nate Shot, you would think that this dude's been rich his entire life. He was a manager at McDonald's making $16-17 an hour, and now he owns one of the most famous gaming organizations in the world, probably the most famous gaming organizations in the world.
Man, just stick to it. Like,
just stick to it.
What I've had to drill into my brain is that it's not about how quickly you get there, it's simply about arriving. And so for me, I had to ask myself a few questions in order to break that thought process that came from social media, because it's so easy to see people that you think are your friends that are just like you think they're doing amazing, and you're just like, dang, like I'm trash, I'm mediocre, I'm all these things, and then all of a sudden they put up a post, man, last year was the worst year of my life, and I almost got evicted, and you're just like, I thought that they were doing great.
Yeah,
and you're holding yourself to an unrealistic,
like
you're comparing yourself and holding yourself to an unrealistic standard that they're not even living up to, but you expect yourself to do it. And I had to ask myself these questions because I was always so hard set that I'm going to be this by this time. I'm going to have it here in this way. And I had to ask myself, you want to be, let's just say hypothetically, you want to be a millionaire by 25. I'm like, if it takes you until 35 or 40, will you still be happy that you're a millionaire? Yeah. Exactly. And so I had to recognize that it's not so much about how quickly you get there. As long as you're living a healthy life in your 30s, even your early 40s, that's still young. You have plenty of time to enjoy it. So don't stress about trying to get there so quickly because you're probably not going to do it right and things are going to go bad anyway. So just take your time and just work and trust the process, and eventually things will pop off.
That leads me into another really good point. Stop worrying about other people.
Man.
Stop it. And what has transpired over the last year and a half, it's made it popular. The media has made it popular to care about what other people are doing.
100%.
And
you gotta flex for the gram.
And to an extent, maybe it is important to be worrying about what someone else is doing during COVID. But at the end of the day, dude, it's probably not, man. I'm sorry. It's probably not. Stop worrying about somebody else. Stop worrying about the other person in the grocery store. Stop worrying about the other person walking down the street. Stop it. Worry about yourself. Do you and just do you to the best ability that you can do you. Just worry about yourself. If you continue to worry about everybody else, you're just gonna be left in the same spot that you were at. And it's become so popular to worry about other people in this last 2 years-ish. I mean, at the very beginning of COVID, California was incentivizing people to snitch on their neighbors for having more people in their house. Like, come on, man. Like, it's been made mainstream to care what other people are doing because now it's in the sense of a public safety, public health. Whether it is or isn't, it's been made popular to worry about other people. And man, when you put that tinfoil hat on, when you put that conspiratorial hat on, dude, and you look at what's going on, you're like, I don't know if this is it. I don't know if this is it. I don't know.
Like, it's a literal career on Instagram to try to promote this fake fantasy life so people can see you and then make a bunch of money. Like, it's literally a thing.
Have a marketer, have someone running your Instagram. They're not even posting it. They're
taking fake jet pictures and all this stuff.
Dude.
And selling a dream because they know that we're worried about what they're doing and we're buying into it instead of
one of my coworkers witnessed that firsthand. He's an older gentleman, and he said he was at the beach. He goes camping and goes on vacation pretty regularly. In his younger days, he made a good amount of money, so he's had some money saved up. And so every chance he gets, he's always taking off. And he said he witnessed this firsthand. He said he witnessed a younger couple go onto the beach. The man had a football in his hand, and the woman was taking pictures of him, acting like as if he was throwing it. They took a few pictures, and then they left the beach. They were there for like 5 minutes. They took some pictures, and then bounced. Those are the people you're looking up to.
Right, they're selling you this dream that they live on the beach.
Yeah.
And they got to be back at work in 20 minutes. It's just like, what? Like, man, honestly, though, but that was the biggest thing that I had to decide in 2019 because I have finally, when I was living in Frisco, to be exact, I have finally moved into, like, my first type of dream apartment. It was, like, a new build luxury apartment.
She has no idea that we're just running the show right now. She doesn't give a fuck. She doesn't care about this show one bit. She is not entertained, which is so crazy. You would think that this dog is. You would think that today, I sat at home and did not a damn thing. Nothing. You would think that she didn't get to go on almost a 2-hour walk in the blistering sun, where she, at the end of it, she was tugging me so hard to the car because she was so exhausted and wanted water. You would think that this poor little dog here is so malnourished, and that she has an owner who does nothing and never takes her on walks and doesn't love her and doesn't feed her. And now look at her. She's like, Daddy, how come you're showing me no love? Hey, we're running a show here, okay? We're running a whole show. I know. We're running a whole show. Can you believe it? Okay?
What do you got to say about it?
We got like 10 people who are going to watch. All right? I need to get this done. Okay? Is that okay? Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you? All right, come on. All right, for real though. Man. Yeah, sorry. She's in a mood.
Yeah, but that's cool. But basically wrapping that up, what you were saying about worrying about other people, 2019... I was in a perfect apartment that I always wanted, luxury, full finish house, beautiful. I bought all brand new furniture. I was on the 4th floor with an amazing city view. Like, everything was perfect, and I felt
Bag's in the way, and that's what it is.
I felt like I had accomplished.
She wants to sit up there, but she's like real particular. She doesn't want to get on nobody's stuff. She's so considerate. That's she really is. She's so sweet. Wow. Boom. Yeah. See, dude, that's what happens when I've known her since she was 8 months old. Like I can. To this point, I can almost read her mind.
I feel like one day we're going to be able to talk to dogs, and that's something I stand firmly on in my life.
Dude, and I hope so. And one thing that somebody was saying, we were at the dog park, and they were looking at her, and they were like, is it me, or does it feel like she can express herself more than other dogs? And I was like, bro, yes, she can. Like, I can... It just sometimes she is so expressive with what she wants, and she'll sit there next to me. If she wants to cuddle, she won't say nothing. She'll sit next to me and she'll go, and I'll just look at her, and you'll just see her tail just going just a little bit, and then I'll go, and she'll be like, whoop, straight into my lap. Wow. She's something else, man. I love that dog.
Dogs are so smart, man.
Sorry, that's the second time you got cut off by the dog.
It's all good. Basically, I was just saying that I was in my apartment, and I decided to give up everything. Like, I had a comfortable job, nice apartment, nice view. Everything was solid, brand new furniture. I was only 1 year into it, but this was the last moment that I decided I was going to bet on myself again. And so I just decided, I went to my leasing office and figured out how I could get out of my lease, because I had just signed a 2-year lease, which is crazy because you could do that. And I was only like 2 months in, but I had just made this life decision that, man, I've been just getting by and making enough to be a little bit comfortable, but not enough to really progress and like get anywhere. And so it was a hard decision. I'm like, I've been living on my own at that point for like 7 years, and to give that up and go back and live with your parents, like that just was the ultimate just like ego blow. And it took me a long time to like come to terms with it, but I'm like, if I really want to make progress and do something and get somewhere incredible, I've got to do things like this. I've got to practice humility and be willing to take the step back, be willing to be looked at as somebody that is like not desirable, or like you're unsuccessful, you're at home with your parents, just like whatever people are going to think. And I had to become okay with that. And I finally did, because I recognized the power of what this could do for me and helping me go forward. And so finally I decided, got rid of most of my furniture, and ended up moving home. And I told myself that in the position I'm putting myself in, I'm not moving out until I am a successful day trader that's sustaining off of just this. And I committed myself to that in that very moment. And I told myself that somehow this is going to work out. I'm going to figure it out. And so ever since 2019, that's been the mindset. And I'm just like, you know what? I am going to stick with this. And shout out to my best friend, because she's helped me a whole lot in terms of just like self-confidence, because it's so many times that I just will just doubt myself and just feel bad. So I'm like, man, I'm at home with my parents, and I'm not working a job now, and I'm trying to do this day trading thing. And she just reminds, like, Jayshun, you're dope regardless. Like, you don't need these things that society will dictate you have to be an amazing person. This doesn't have anything to do with your ambition or your passion or nothing like that. Like, that's internal. And so I just had to really just like internalize that. And I feel like I finally got to the point where I'm okay with not being affected about what other people have to say or what they think, and I'm just committed to the process, and I'm finally starting to see things work out, and I'm starting to make progress, and I'm very close to this big goal for myself. And it all just came from just ridding myself of just worrying about what other people think, including my family, because that was a very, very tough pill to swallow with them, because everybody's looking at you like, yo, what are you doing with your life? Like, why are you doing this? And it led me to recognizing that sometimes you have to be silent about the things you're doing, even when it's the people closest to you. And it's like, there was this interview actually on Social Proof podcast, which is fire.
Which is the dude, I was just about to get there.
Yeah, the dude was just talking about the fact that he was saying when God gives you a vision or a calling, he gave it specifically to you, not your dad, not your best friend, not your teacher, not your coworker. So you can't expect them to have the same viewpoint that you do, because it was only given to you through your set of eyes. So when you tell your dad and he doesn't get it, he's not supposed to. And so you can't allow that to dictate your willingness to still follow through and go be great in that, because the world will understand and applaud you and appreciate it once you go do it. But you have to go do it, and then people will follow. And so there's a quote that T.D. Jakes said, and he's like, if you take it, it will be given to you, not the other way around. But most people, they want to sit back and wait for things to happen and be given to them to then start going to work. And that's not how it happens. Like, you got to get out there and you got to be direct and go get what's yours, and then the world will turn around and give it to you. And I'm just like, wow, like, I've got to internalize that. And so that's just the mindset that I've been in ever since. And I've been trying to just stay focused and just get to these goals, because we got some big things that we got to do. Like, there's too much out here for us to not be living whatever kind of life that we want. And so it's a very exciting time in life, just period, because COVID was like the best thing that ever happened. Cause
I made more money during COVID than I ever have in my life.
COVID, so I had a whole goal. I'm moving to Killeen, I'm gonna get a job, live with my parents, and spend every penny paying off debt and then investing just all of that money for a year or two, and then I'll be set. A month into my job and COVID hits, and because I was at Verizon, and then boom, I got let go. And I was just so devastated, because I was a musician, I was Ubering, and I had Verizon. And so 3 sources of income. I was like, man, I'm about to have so much money in the next few months. And then COVID shut down all 3. And no lie, I burned through my savings, because it was like 2 or 3 months of just no income. And I was down to like less than $100 to my name. I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. And then the stimulus check hit, and I recognized that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so I qualified for unemployment, and I'm like, I'm going to save every penny that I can. And so prior to that, I never had a savings of more than like $200 or $300. Like, at one point I had like a few thousand when I quit my last job, but that was just because of school money that I got back as a refund, so not like a real savings. And I told myself, you can never put yourself in that position again. You've got to get at least $10,000 saved up so you can have that to sit on and be able to maneuver comfortably. And so that was the goal, and I kept working, and I'm like super close to that. And so I'm like, okay, cool, I can be comfortable, I can invest, I can do these things. And so now it just feels great, thanks to COVID, that it gave me the opportunity to have some money to sit on and have some money to invest in crypto and day trading and doing all these other things. And so COVID was, like I said, the worst thing that ever happened, and then became the best thing. So I'm just trying to take full advantage of that and just keep pushing forward. And so I'm excited about everything, mainly crypto. It's been such an interesting journey.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if you've been following along with.
I have a good amount of money in crypto. I have a good amount of money in my stock account.
Mm-hmm.
The stocks are eating me alive.
Oh, then.
Well, the one, yeah. I'm down a good amount of change, but I have a ton of money. I have a ton of money in my stock account and a ton of money in my crypto account. Primarily, a good portion amount of money that I made last year, I invested the majority of it, including in the house. And so there's I have a ton of money stashed in crypto and a ton of money in my stock account, and then I had to put a ton of money in my house. And I have a guy coming on in a few weeks, actually, who works in the cryptocurrency sector, who's extremely educated, I cannot wait to have a conversation with him.
Is he from Killeen?
No, I went to college with him.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I went to Sam Houston with him.
Gotcha.
His name is Brian King. So shout out to him. He's an avid listener of the podcast, huge supporter. I appreciate him, and I can't wait for him to come on. And so I don't even know where I don't know where I was going with that.
We're talking about just crypto and stocks, just having money there.
Yeah, so I have money in there. Crypto's been on the downswing, which is okay because that means more people are going to dump more money in there, which eventually will hope to rally that back up. Plus, Tesla just bought back into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's now on the rise again, which hopefully the rest will follow. I have a good amount in Ethereum, ADA. I have a little in Doge. And then
Doge was my baby.
Yeah,
because I bought into Doge at like 2 cents a coin, and it ended up selling out at like 60 or 70 cents.
Hell
and
yeah!
So I to this day I regret like my decisions, just being impatient with crypto.
Oh, dude, I could have retired. I could have retired last year off my stock account. I have enough money in there. Had I just left it in there and didn't sell when the markets crashed at COVID. And so this goes back again. This goes full circle. So there's two things that went full circle. One being, God damn it, Topo Chico seltzers are getting to me, dude. Fuck. I forgot what I was.
You're talking.
Okay, so I know the second one. The first one coming back to me. The second one was before the episode started. We were talking about how your girlfriend was saying that she envies your life, right? And you were saying they don't understand the sacrifices that you've made to get to where you are right now, which you have talked about in the last hour of sitting here now. And fuck, dude, it's like, how many times did you have to tell your friends you weren't going out? How many times did you have to wake up early in the morning and go work out before the gym, or go work out before work? Or how many times do I do X, Y, and Z and do these things that people just, they're not going to understand. They're not going to understand. But I do them because there's goals in my life that I have to hit, not want to hit, have to hit, because there's a burning desire in the side of me that is so fiery. And when I don't do things that get me closer to those goals, the thoughts in my head are fucking terrible.
100%.
Terrible. They try to bring me down every single night. They try to rip me apart. And dude, I posted something not too long ago where it said things about being successful, and one of them on there is never being understood. And I'm constantly being misunderstood. I'm constantly being labeled as an asshole when it's no, dude, no, like, this is what needs to be done. We need to get it done. Just get it fucking done. Like, that's not being a dick. That's just being real. Like, this is what needs to be done. Like, I don't need to babysit you. Like, I shouldn't have to tell you to do your job. Like, do the job. And it's just, fuck, man. It's like,
that one is hard. Like, understanding that you won't be understood, like, that is killer, because that's all it's ever been. Because it doesn't make sense how something can be so crystal clear to me, and I get it and I see it, but the people around me just don't get it.
And no matter what, you can't convey it. You're trying to convey it, but you can't convey it. You're trying to convey it, and they just it's just like, I'm trying to help you out. I'm not I'm trying to be helpful, and
that can be a trap. Yeah, because like for me, I went through something really bad. It's called like survivor's like remorse, and I felt like I don't deserve, or why should I be the one from my family or my circle to be able to become successful and escape just like everything that we've dealt with. And I've always felt like I would feel bad if everybody around me doesn't become successful too. And so I put so much stock in trying my hardest to convince everybody around me to see the vision and take the journey with me. And because they weren't willing to, I wasn't willing to like go off without them. And so that was a really difficult stronghold for me to break for many years, because I just felt bad about it. I'm like, how do you not get this? You got to do this. This is the way. This is going to change your life. And it was just, it got to a point where even my granddad just one day just told me that, like, you can't live your life for others. You can't wait on others. You got to do what's best for you, and you know what you got to do, and you just got to go do it.
And that's another thing that we talked about before this episode started. We talked about that. That's how I got into Muay Thai. Because I got tired of waiting on other people to catch up with me, and it's just, and I'm tired of being that person like, hey, do you want to go do this? Like, I really want to do this. Do you want to do it with me? Like, that's been the biggest thing that I've accomplished through COVID is doing things by myself. I constantly find myself now, I go downtown by myself. I go walk the water. I take the dog to the trail. I go out to eat by myself. I go to the movies by myself. I do these things by myself. And again, it comes back to that whole thing about constantly feeling like you're doing something weird or like being weird.
Right.
And it's like, no, I'm not fucking being weird, dude. I'm happy as hell. Like, I'm living life finally. Like, I'm living life the way that I want to live it. That I want to go do these things. I want to enjoy these things. I wanted to do Muay Thai. A bucket list was doing a fight. I did that fight. That was a monumental thing in my life. Like, doing that fight meant so much to me. It was something on my bucket list. It's something that I trained really hard for. It's something that I had to dial in my diet, had to dial in every single aspect of my life. And leading up to that fight, I put in the fucking work, and I ended up winning the tournament. And it just, that sparked that fire, and I got to get back to that. I've slacked a little bit, but I realized that throughout that period of leading up to the fight, I was 100% on for 3+ months, and what I'm realizing now after the fight is that that's not realistic. It's not realistic for me to be 100% every single day. Like just 100% on, just clicking on all cylinders, just boom, 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 boom. But what I'm realizing is I'm getting better each and every day, and I'm getting closer to that form. I'm getting closer back to that form that I was at for those 3 months before the fight. I'm getting closer back to that form each and every day. And now I'm doing it at a pace that's sustainable.
Exactly. And that's the key.
That's the key, is finding a pace that's sustainable. And that goes back to what we were saying with the whole social media, with like what you were saying with 21, I want to make this, 25, I want to make this, 30, I want to make this. And it's just not realistic. There's going to be outliers who are going to achieve those because they're wizards, and everything clicks really quick for them. And things click relatively fast for me compared to some people. However, those people, those are the LeBron Jameses of Instagram. Those are those outliers who are just, no matter how hard you work, you'll never be LeBron James. You'll never be Michael Jordan. You'll never be Michael Phelps. Like, you're not going to be those guys. Those guys are great in so many different levels that you, no matter how hard you train, you can't be that. They were born with something that just people aren't. Elon Musk is born with something other people aren't born with. Jeff Bezos with Amazon, like all these things, and those people are outliers. 100%. And we got to stop comparing ourselves to those outliers, and we need to just continue to do what we're doing here and having these conversations and moving at our own pace and understanding that that's okay and that's acceptable as long as you are progressing consistently. Now, if you're moving at your own pace and you're just staying stale for 10 years, well, then obviously you got to change something up, right? But if you are progressing and you are moving in the right direction and you are moving towards the goal that you want to move towards, it doesn't matter if it takes a year, 2 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter as long as you.
Right, it's just about getting there.
And then another thing too, while you're going through that process, you gotta enjoy the process, and that's one thing that I like. That's one thing that I'm slowly enjoying, and that's why this has been the best portion of my life over the last year. Because I'm enjoying the process. I'm starting to do the things that I want to do. I'm going and doing those things by myself, regardless if someone wants to join along or not. And I'm slowly beginning to live life the way that I want to live life. And either you're going to keep up or not keep up. And that's fine either way. Whatever your goals are, that's perfectly fine. But don't get mad. When you start to get faded out a little bit.
100%. And like one of my mentors always says, you just have to focus on getting 1% better every day. That's it. Just 1%. Because every year that's 300% better that you are now than you were a year ago. Just change one thing each day that can help improve your life. Don't try to go out there and make every change every day, because it's just not realistic and it's not sustainable. And so that is just like the most important thing ever is, like you were just saying, just be realistic and just continue going and going and going. Because for me, I had to recognize that two things. Number one, success is defined differently for everybody. So I can't compare what I think of success to what you think of success because they're different. So if I'm comparing my journey to your journey, like we're in different places trying to do different things, like you literally can't do that. And so I just have to focus, and we all just have to focus on what success looks like for us. And just understanding the way that I internalize the journey is recognizing that when you have the right habits that are going to be the things that make you successful, if you start doing those things every day right now, while you may not be where you want to be, you're already successful because you're already doing the things that you're going to be doing when you're successful. The money is just a lagging indicator. It's going to catch up. And so when I recognize that, I'm like, whoa, when I wake up at this time, when I do this routine, when I do this for trading, when I do this every day, like this is what I'm going to be doing when I'm making $1 million versus if I'm making $1,000. Like I'm already successful as long as I'm just consistent with my actions. And so it felt good just knowing that being successful means just doing what you're supposed to do that one day. Like that's how I started looking at it. It's not about 5 years from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, then I'm successful. If I wake up tomorrow morning and do everything that I know I'm supposed to do, I'm already successful. And just each day, just focus on accomplishing that one goal and you'll be there. And so I've just learned to just really take real pride in the process and the journey. Like you said, it feels really good. It feels freeing because you're doing it on your terms. You're doing this the way that you want to. And this is the life that I desire for myself. So I'm willing to put in the work. And you just focus on that, and then you'll be there before you know it. Once you really take joy in what you're doing and not focusing so much on the outcome, the next thing you know, everything just starts to work out. And that's what changed with me for trading, because at first it was, I want to be one of those traders that makes $1 million in a month. I want to make 10,000 in a day. I want to do something big. And I was so focused on just trying to be this thing and make this crazy amount of money and just not focus on the right aspects of it. And I could never do it. But the moment I stopped thinking about numbers and now I'm just focused on just trade the way you know how and just exercise your skill, now all of a sudden everything is starting to come alive and work really well because I'm not focused on the wrong things. And so our motivations always have to be pure. I've also learned
they have to be
very important.
If you're doing something strictly for money, it's never gonna work
At all.
It's never gonna work.
Man, and it's so ironic because it's like you'll hear the successful people say that and be like, I can't believe you. But then when you really pay attention, you recognize, oh, you have a really deep passion and deep understanding of the thing that you're doing. You definitely wouldn't have been willing to put in that kind of time if it was just money, because you're just not going to be able to mentally commit to something.
You're not. So, you're not going to be able to stay consistent
at all.
It's
like,
not.
You can't.
It's the same thing as working out solely for your physique. Mm-hmm. It's the same concept. It's extremely unsustainable. Mm-hmm. It's extremely unsustainable. It's not healthy. It's not sustainable. And it's just not for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. You should be working out because it makes you feel good. Man. It releases the stress. You feel better.
So glad you said that.
You can eat some more food with a little less guilt. Mm-hmm. You're healthier. You feel better. You don't get sick. You don't go along with all these these things that people have normalized. Mm-hmm. People normalize getting sick all the time. Like people have. It's the same with anything. We've all normalized something that we probably shouldn't have. Like people normalize sleeping on shitty mattresses. Like whatever it is, there's a connection to anything. We've normalized something that we probably shouldn't have.
Right.
And once you start to break a lot of those norms, and you start breaking through those, and you start, whether it's researching or discussion or whatever, and you start to break through those norms, you start to realize like how much better life is. Like how much better it can be.
Man, like you said it. This is a paradigm shift for me from 2014 up until 2020. I have been for so many years wanting to lose weight and look good, and I'm like, I'm gonna go run and work out and do all this stuff so I could try to, get fit and lose weight and trim, and I just want to look good and I want to impress these people. I want to get this girl, and I could just never commit to it consistently. But then when around the time COVID hit, like shortly before that, because I was playing a lot of baseball, I would often feel fatigued, or I would just be like just having headaches and just feeling congested and just not always feeling good. And whenever I was just down and depressed. And so one day I went running, and I didn't go run because I was trying to lose weight or nothing. I was just like, I need to find something that can help me. And I went for a run, and after running, like my sinuses and headache and everything went away. It felt good just being active. Like all the thoughts that I had on my mind just kind of went away. And I recognized that, whoa, like this can give me an immediate sense of satisfaction and can solve a real problem. And ever since then is when I finally created the desire to run, and what made me want to run every day, because like it feels good getting my heart pumping and getting my blood flowing in the morning. It just feels good doing this thing, knowing that I'm just helping myself be better, and I don't have all these other like, you know, unidealistic motivations that's driving me, and I just have realistic things. Like you said, it helps me maintain a decent weight. It allows me to eat in a certain way now, and I just feel physically and mentally better. And once I was able to connect with a deeper and better reason for my running, now I'm able to go running every day without this unrealistic pressure or expectation on myself, and I've been able to finally conquer that. And it was like 5-6 years that I just could not get it figured out, all because of the wrong motivations. But now that my head and my intention is pure with it, I'm able to just get out there and run. And so that's what I had to translate into every other aspect of life. Make sure your intentions are pure for your relationships, with your friends, with your significant other, with anybody. Make sure your goals, make sure everything is just like you have pure intentions, and then things will just be able to just take off, and you'll just be so surprised at how things work out.
Absolutely.
And so that's just been what I've been focusing on the most lately, recognizing that I didn't always have the right motivations behind certain things, be it I want to prove my family wrong, or I want to prove this to this person, I want to flex on this person, just all the wrong things. And like, you're never going to be fruitful long term like that. And so that would just be one thing that I would just want to say to people, is just make sure your intentions are pure and you have the right motivations, and you'll be surprised by where you get to.
Hell yeah.
And just releasing those
social
media expectations, and just do what you want. And the next thing you know, you get good at it and opportunities come. Like, I didn't know when I started day trading that these firms would be an opportunity for me, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to commit myself to learning this skill. And then one day I get presented with the opportunity, and now I'm ready and I'm prepared to be able to take advantage, because I put in 4 years of studying, paying for courses, paying for classes, paying people to teach me, making some good money, losing good money. Like, it took a lot of time and consistency, but for some reason, day trading, it just connected with me the moment I experienced it for the first time. I recognized that it takes advantage of my skills, and like, it also challenges me in ways that I've never felt. And it just forms such a deep, just like, passion for it, to where it's like, I know it can get me to financial freedom, but my desire to do it is so much past that. Like, I don't care as much about that as I do being in the charts, analyzing, marking up charts, trying to predict where the market's going to go, and being able to, you know, get things right. Like, it just feels good. And so once I was able to just flush the desire for money out of it and do it because it's challenging and it's fun, then things start working out.
And that's the key word, challenging. The only way to find out your true potential, or find out what you're actually made of, is to do hard things. And that's why so many people reach out to physical fitness, because it's probably one of the most consistent and so quote unquote easy ways to challenge yourself.
Right.
All you gotta do is just show up to a fitness class. That's all you gotta do, and you'll challenge yourself.
Very much so.
You don't have to go do anything on your own. You don't have to go get a street bike and just ride until you can't ride no more. Like, do something that challenges you, whatever it is. It has to be hard, and that's why, again, you put on that tinfoil hat, and you see where we're headed in society with everything being so easy, and you see so many people just following this line, and no one stopping to guess it. It's like, question is like, does it not seem sometimes like people want you to go in this line? They want you to follow this path, because you're going to always stay where you are. You're going to stay in check. You're going to stay in line. You're going to stay where you are, and you're not going to. The biggest thing I remember from college, I remember a few professors. I remember some of the classes, but there's one thing that sticks out the most. I took a social diversity class, and in that class, you learn that only one, I think it was like like anywhere between like 1 to 4% jump social economic classes in which you were born in.
Dang.
And when you think about that, and then you think about what I just said,
something doesn't add up.
You telling me those things don't go hand in hand? You're telling me like following this path and just going with it and just going with the curve, with the social norms, whatever it is, you're telling me that that's going to get you somewhere? But yet, everyone born in a social economic class, there's only about 1 to 4% of y'all that make more money than your parents. But yet you want to continue to follow this path.
Right.
That is easy, that is laid out for you, that seems like so righteous and such the right path. But yet nobody jumps social economic classes. And it's like, I try really hard not to be super conspiratorial, but when you really start looking at things and you really start fucking looking into things and reading things and following patterns and norms, you're like, hold up. Hold up. Is this really the life is this really how I want to live? And is that way of living going to get me to where I want to be? Because it's probably not.
That was such an important question.
It's probably not.
Ask myself.
It's not.
Right. Because, like, it was a moment back. This was, like, BMW. Yeah, when I was still at BMW, I've always kind of had a knack for just, like, forward thinking and thinking ahead. And so I asked myself, I'm like, it's simple. This is the goal that you want to get. Let's just say $100,000. And it's like, is this feasible in your current position, or is there a way to move up? And the answer was, where I was, the only way you can make that much at the dealership is if you're the shop foreman. And that person is like the overall manager for the entire mechanics. And so at my dealership, there's only 2 shop foremen. And so I'm like, there's 100 of us mechanics, and the shop foreman can be there as long as they want before they retire. So I'm like, okay, this isn't realistic or feasible. And so it got to a place where I had to just recognize what I'm doing isn't going to get me where I want. And that sense of clarity changed everything, because every decision I ever made, I would weigh it against, where am I trying to get to, and is this going to help me get there? And if the answer was no, it would allow me to avoid. And so it helped me to be able to start navigating and know what routes not to take, so I'm not wasting even more time, and you're able to just learn and move forward because you have clarity. And it all just starts with knowing, what's my end goal, and is the way that I'm going to get me there? And if the answer is no, then change something. But so many of us, myself included, get stuck in the comfort zone. Like, this feels familiar. Even if it's not what I want, I know what to expect, so I'm willing to keep doing it. And that's just very dangerous, and it's hard to break away from that, because it's hard to do something and you don't know what's going to happen or what you're going to get, good or bad, but you're going to go invest full time into it. That's a daunting thought. And so it's understandable, but you can't let that stop you. And so
I want to read something to you. So this was by a guy on Twitter, Zuby Music, podcaster, rapper, author. This is what he wrote on social media a couple weeks ago. And I want to read this to you, and I want you to give me your feedback on each one. So there's 20 things I've learned about humanity during the pandemic. I think this goes really right where we are. And number 1, most people would rather be in the majority than be right.
Ooh.
Number 2, at least 20% of the population has strong authoritarian tendencies which will emerge under the right conditions. Number 3, fear of death is only rivaled by the fear of social approval. The latter could be stronger.
Dang.
Number 4, propaganda is just as effective in the modern day as it was 100 years ago. Access to limitless information has not made the average person any wiser.
That's the one.
It gets better. Hold on. Number 5. Anything and everything can and will be politicized by the media, government, and those who trust them. Number 6. Many politicians and large corporations will gladly sacrifice human lives if it is conducive to their political and financial aspirations.
Without question.
Number 7. Most people believe in the government acts is in the best interest of the people, even many who are vocal critics of the government.
Before you continue, I just read on Facebook somebody said the same people that feel like the government have their best interests are probably the same ones that think the strippers really love them at the strip club.
Oh.
Like, it's true.
It's true. Right? But hold on. Gets better. Once they have made up their mind, most people would rather commit to being wrong than admit they were wrong.
That's the one. That one and number 4.
Bruh.
I think it was 100%.
Bruh. Hold on. There's more.
I have to follow.
Which one? Oh, and number 9. Humans can be trained and conditioned quickly and relatively easily to significantly alter their behaviors for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10. When sufficiently frightened, most people will not only accept authoritarianism, but demand it.
Of course, because nobody.
That's what we're in right now.
I feel like this whole pandemic has been a reset. Like, there's too much independence and freedom, and they're like, "Nah, we can't have this.
Yeah,
like, we gotta round people back up,
bro.
And it's working perfectly. And
people just going with it.
I don't
just
understand,
going with it.
Like, the government and just the big people, they can hide in plain sight because it's like, even if we know what they're doing, people are not gonna challenge us or push back.
No.
So they have the perfect cover.
Just going with it,
and it's crazy because it's. All of this stuff is really real and really happening, and it's just like nothing's gonna change. And
yeah,
like you said, access to limitless information. We can read, we see when they mess up and make mistakes, but we just close our eyes and keep going and just don't say nothing.
Yep.
And it's like that's the scariest thing in the world.
And we talked about this in an episode previously with Alex, and I asked the same question: what are we supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? Right?
I'm good.
What does it get? What does it get for us? No, like, what does it get?
I was gonna ask
for us sitting in this room, understanding what the fuck is going on.
Like, what can you?
But there's nothing we can do
exactly
except for have these conversations and just continue to have the conversations until finally enough people wake up to where I don't know what we can do at that point, but something, because here, let's keep going.
But that's real.
This is the one right here. You ready? Number 11. People who are dismissed as conspiracy theorists are often well-researched and simply ahead of the mainstream narrative.
Every single, not every single, but majority of the time, that is on point.
How many people think Alex Jones to this day is still batshit fucking crazy, even though he has nailed so many, but he's been wrong not once or twice, but he's been wrong in some of them where people discredit him, even though he's been right way more than he's ever been wrong. But people continue to discredit him or continue to say that he's batshit crazy, that he's not right. That's exactly what that is.
Can we pull up the definition of conspiracy? Ooh. I'm curious to see what Webster says.
What's the definition of conspiracy? As he's pulling that up. Oh, shit, wait. Oh, I was like, how did that change? Because I was totally not on it on my phone. Okay, no, you're good. No, let's pull this up right here. I like this. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I was ready for that. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Oh, see? It's smooth. It was when we were trying to do the both at the same time.
Can we go to click on Webster and down there? I'm curious to know what they say conspiracy means. I hate when they use the word. And the act of conspiring.
Conspire. To join in a secret agreement to do an unlawful or wrongful act, or an act which becomes unlawful as a result of a secret agreement. That doesn't.
This is propaganda. So this is important. They need you to associate. So something that I love studying and looking up is how we give words positive and negative connotations. Like the word consequence, you think is bad. Consequence just means the effect of an action. And so here they have to make you think that anything associated with conspiracy is bad and negative. So if they label you a conspiracy theorist, then you're somebody that's crazy. But that's not the point. That's not what it is. It's just the fact that you're willing to be well studied and read and understand something that's going on and talk to other people about it and challenge the norm. But they can't allow you, somebody that's willing to challenge the norm, to be acceptable. So they have to have propaganda to make you think that's bad. And so it all adds into all of this. How, like you said, there's nothing that you can do, even if you understand what's going on. Like, what can you do? Like that, I was going to literally ask you that before we started. When we were talking about it, I'm like, if you are aware of what the government's doing, what choice do you have? Like, you still got to kind of play by the rules to some extent. And so it's just like, it's literally the question. Like, what can you do?
Do you envy those people who... Do you envy the people who just kind of just go with the flow? They don't question it.
I told one of my friends this, so
because I find myself.
The answer is yes.
I really find myself thinking like, "Fuck, dude, it's got to be so much. It's got to be so much more simpler."
Right. We literally had this discussion, and I'm like, I'm so jealous of the people who life is simple for. They see something, they go do it, they go get the job, they meet the person, they get married, they just go through life and do the things, and they always just seem to just be chilling, and life is good. But then you got the people like us that overthink everything, and we think we got to figure it out, and we're stressed to freak out every single day. It's like, it's not fair, because it's just like, the more you know, the more stressed we are, because there's nothing you could do about it. And I always say, like, I wish sometimes that I was one of those that could just go with the flow and just kind of do the process and be done, because what does it really benefit us at the end of the day to be somebody that feels like we have more information?
Well, unless we end up fucking
unless we come together,
popular, or unless we end up making the money that we want to. It didn't.
Exactly.
It didn't. So what do we get from it?
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. Money, unfortunately, is power, and it gives you access to people and power. And so that's another one of like the motivations for people to want to better yourself, so you can have the ability to impact and make change on things. And so that, to me, that has always been my answer whenever I have this conversation. Like, what can you really do? So, side note, there's a tattoo that I want to get, and I want it to be a chessboard, and I want it to say checkmate. And on one side of the board is me, and the other side of the board is the word life. Because I feel like life is a game set up for all of us to lose. You're not supposed to lose. Like, you're going to lose to the system. But if you find a way to get out of the system and you're able to win and defeat like what they're trying to set forth for you, you've beat the game. So it's checkmate. And so I really want to get that tattoo, because I feel like the way that we can get out is by making life-changing money to where you don't have to be a victim to the system and the mentality that a lot of people have. And so you can be able to help those around you to be able to live a more comfortable lifestyle. Because for me, the scariest feeling that I never want to feel again, when I was at BMW, I didn't know anything about money. It was my only source of income. And it's crazy to think that, like, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and there would be times where I would run out of money 2 or 3 days before I get paid. And it's just like, it never... Like, it dawned on me a little bit, but at any moment they could let me go and I have $0 to my name, no more income. Like, I'm completely dependent on them. I have to do whatever they tell me to do. And that was the worst feeling. And I said, ever since that moment, I would never allow myself to be completely dependent on any one source of income. And I just feel like that was so important, because it helped to kind of free myself. Like, I always made sure I was able to Uber. I've been a musician for so many years, getting extra money there. I've always made sure I was doing other things to where I could kind of free myself. And it just came from feeling like I don't want to be a complete sheep in the world and just have to depend and do whatever they say, because this is what they need from me. They need me to be dependent to where, hey, if we fire you or you miss one payment, you're done for. So now do what we say. And that's not safe. That's not good. And so it adds to all of that. But
I feel that.
I want to hear the rest of what he was saying, because this is good. Okay.
So we're on number 12.
Yeah.
So most people value safety and security more than freedom and liberty, even if safety is merely an illusion.
Without a doubt. Like, we think we want freedom and choices, but most people don't. And it's like, it's the psychology that in sales, they often talk about it. If you give somebody too many choices to choose from, they're probably not going to buy nothing from you. Like, we'd rather be told that, hey, this is the phone for you, or this is the car for you, or here's your one of two options and choose here. And so we think we want freedom of choice, but most times we don't. Like you said, we want safety and security. And that comes from basically somebody preparing everything for us and handing it to us, which is counterintuitive to what most people say they want, but that's the reality of life.
Hell
so
yeah.
Well,
I want to bring up, shout out to this was brought to my attention on the Joe Rogan podcast with Adam Curry. So if you've listened to that episode, then you've heard this before, and I apologize, but I'm gonna read it anyways because most of the people who are listening haven't heard this. And then number 13, hedonic adaptation occurs in both directions, and once inertia sets in, it is difficult to get people back to normal, quote unquote normal. I don't know what hedonic means. I was about to say,
can you look up...
What is hedonic? Lazy?
Because it's like, what is it? Hedonism?
Hedonic adaptation?
Yeah, hedonism, something like that.
Okay. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm enjoying this. By the way, I'm liking this.
And so now, can you read it again?
Let's break that down more.
I'm curious.
Let's break down self-indulgence. Okay. Because I feel like that's a word in its own. The doctrine that pleasure or happiness is the sole or chief good in life, a way of life based on or suggesting the principles of.
Can you reread the tweet now? Now we kind of have an idea.
So hedonic adaptation occurs in both directions, and once inertia sets in, it is difficult to get people back to quote-unquote normal.
So
I don't know if I understand that one.
Yeah,
still.
I was trying to replace it with that definition, and I couldn't quite get it.
Do you understand that?
Adaptation is people adapting to have just pleasure and happiness be there. That nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if anyone else is happy, I guess.
So is it kind of like just, I don't know.
Relating to or considered in terms of pleasant sensations or unpleasant sensations. What about what is hedonic behavior?
For 500.
Relates to pleasure experienced or anticipated from the behavior. Hedonic aspects results from the aesthetic/emotional feelings listed by Holbrook and Hirschman, such as love, hate, fear, joy, boredom, in addition to like/dislike.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This I don't got nothing on this one. Yeah, this one's over my head. I'm too stupid. Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about this. But number 14, a significant percentage of people thoroughly enjoy being subjugated.
Yeah. I would agree.
I'm not gonna lie. What's subjugated mean?
The definition.
You don't gotta look it up. You can just tell me, because I know you know.
I want to say, I think I know what it means. Separated and told what to exactly. Kind of separated and told what to do.
So a significant percentage of people thoroughly enjoy being controlled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Majority of people.
For sure, because I think inherently, the majority of us are fucking indecisive, and I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't want it. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people want to admit to their indecisiveness. So instead of like realizing that they're indecisive and try to make more decisions on their own, they're far more comfortable with other people making decisions for them.
Yes.
And that's what continues to lead them to work for a corporation who doesn't care about them and they're not happy, et cetera, et cetera.
It goes back to the comfort zone. It's like, as long as I know what to expect, it doesn't matter if I like it or not, as long as I know what to expect. So I can prepare for that.
Yep.
And that's what essentially they're saying right there. So it's like, if I know that you're going to say this to me or give me this or do this in this situation, even if it's the worst, at least I can prepare for it. And that's much better than the unknown. And so,
and again, I want to point out one thing. I think when we talk about these things, I want to make sure that it's clear that when we talk about certain characteristics and we talk about certain things, that we also deal or feel those certain things as well. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm like, I wonder if people take it as if, like, when I'm talking about these things, I'm like, people, and I say, like, people. When I say people do, or people do this, people do that, I'm including myself.
Majority of the
I'm
time,
including myself. So I that's something I've been thinking about. I'm like, man, I wonder if people think that, like, I think that I don't go through these things.
Right.
That I just observe these things and that I'm perfect and I don't do those things. No. That's not at all what I'm trying to convey. When I say people do this, I'm including myself. These are things that we're trying to better. These are the things that we're talking about when we're trying to better ourselves. These are the paradigm shifts that we're trying to create, that we're trying to have, that we're trying to experience, so that we don't fall in this line. Because if you fall in this line, then you live a life like everybody else, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just not the life that I want to live.
Yeah, precisely. That's simple.
Number 15. The quote-unquote, the science has evolved into a secular pseudo-religion for millions of people in the West. This religion has little to do with science itself. Number 16. Most people care more about looking like they are doing the right thing rather than doing the right thing. And I want to break this one down.
Yeah.
I want to break this one down for sure. I hear this all the time. If you let someone in traffic, you let someone in front of you, and then you get mad because they didn't wave to you, you did it for the wrong reason. That doesn't make you a good person. That doesn't make you a good person. Everyone's guilty of this. Everyone's guilty of this. But you have to realize that, did I let that person in because it's the nice thing to do? Or did I let that person in to let that person know that I'm a nice person, so that I can get a validation? It's this. People do this shit all the time, and this drives me up the wall. This drives me up the wall. This is something that I try very, very, very hard not to do. I do things for people without zero expectations of something coming back. I try so hard to do that. When I tell Dane and Deontay this, the co-hosts of the Duo Sports and Podcast stuff, when I retweet their stuff on Twitter, when I post their shit on Facebook, when I talk about it on Instagram, I don't expect them to do the same thing for me. I do it because I fuck with their product. I enjoy their podcast. I'm gonna shout it out. I don't care if you shout my podcast out back. It's cool that you do, and it's cool that they do, and it's cool that they support the podcast, but that's not what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it because I think with the content that they're putting out is great. I think with the content that they're putting out is awesome, and I think that other people should hear it, and I think that they should get more views, they should get more likes. It has nothing to do with me. And these people who constantly do something in hopes of validation for that good deed that they did, you're not a good person. Go home and self-reflect. Re-look at what you're doing. You're not doing it from a place of purity. You're doing it from a place of validation. And that's not healthy.
That's funny, but that's very, very accurate. Like, that's good.
Like, that's one that bugs me a lot, because that's one that I consider myself pretty good at. And that's one that bothers me when someone's like, well, how come you didn't do this? Like, no. Just because you got me a gift for my birthday doesn't mean I care enough to get you a gift for your birthday.
Bro, that's another conversation I've had with a friend. Exactly.
Like, I'm very appreciative of what you did, but I don't feel the need in order to reciprocate.
Right.
If I reciprocate, or if I do something, it's the same thing. Just because I get you something for your birthday, it doesn't mean that I expect you to get me something for my birthday. And that's a real futile explanation, but it's true. And number 17, politics, the media, science, and the healthcare industries are all corrupt to varying degrees. Scientists and doctors can be bought as easily as politicians. And that's just one thing people have got to fucking learn.
Good luck.
You have to recognize that money trumps everything.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it doesn't come down to race, religion, sex, gender, none of that shit when money is in play.
Mm-hmm.
Money will forever take over any other variables.
Unfortunately.
Absolute all the time. Number 18. If you make people comfortable enough, they will not revolt. You can keep millions docile as you strip their rights by giving them money, food, and entertainment.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Because people, it's simple. Once you got something to lose, you're not willing to take chances. So give people just enough and make them just comfortable enough. And why am I going to risk my house and my job and my car and my this and my that to try to do this? Nah, I'm good, so I'm going to chill over here. And that is like one of the most basic but effective like war strategies there is out there. Like make them just comfortable enough and they don't have a desire. But it's the people that have nothing to lose or to go do anything.
We're living through this right now.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
We saw it.
Exactly.
We saw it happen. We saw the government
Mm-hmm.
tell you that you were unessential
Mm-hmm.
and then threw you a little bit amount of bread.
Mm.
And you were like, ooh, yay. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you have just been happier or more fulfilled had you just been able to? Wouldn't you have made more money had you just been able to work the entire time? Mm-hmm. You're telling me it took $2,000?
Exactly.
That's it? It took $2,000?
Over a year.
Come on, man. Mm-hmm. Number 19. Modern people are overly complacent and lack vigilance when it comes to defending their own freedoms from government overreach.
That ties into number 18.
20. It's easier to fool a person than to convince them that they have been fooled.
Dang.
Bruh. I'm going to read that one again. Because that one is spot on. It's easier to fool a person than to convince them that they have been fooled.
That speaks to the fact that you fooled them. Like, you've done such a great job that they don't even recognize.
People don't realize. So we talked about this earlier. The whole John Cena thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to dive into this just a little bit because this ties into this one. John Cena recently had to apologize for calling Taiwan. And people have to understand that there are agent provocateurs.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in China, people in Russia, who their sole purpose is to cause chaos on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And they send out these tweets. They post these memes. They spread this misinformation. And people just
eat it up. Mm-hmm.
Boom. Bro, when John Cena has to apologize for calling Taiwan, how much money does the Chinese pump into Hollywood in order for you to apologize? Because if we pull up a map right now, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan is its own country labeled Taiwan, regardless of what the Chinese government wants to believe or to say. That country is called Taiwan. You're not buying a ticket to China.
Right.
You're buying a ticket to Taiwan. And he had to apologize for saying Taiwan. The head of the WHO didn't say Taiwan in one of the very early COVID pressers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a press release. He couldn't say Taiwan. Like, come on. Bonus thought. Number 21. Most people are fairly compassionate and have good intentions. Quote, or Parentheses, this is good. As a result, most people deeply struggle to understand that some people, including our leaders, can have malicious or perverse intentions. Parentheses, this is bad.
I struggle with that when I was...
Dude, that's important.
Right. That goes back to most people don't know that they're being fooled. Like, they're not willing to believe. Like, even with me when I was growing up, my granddad used to always tell me that there's people out there that will do you wrong just because they want to cause you harm. That's just bad people. But growing up until that point in high school, I didn't believe it because I'm young. I'm thinking, oh, people aren't going to, why would he willingly lie to me or hurt me or try to steal from me, until I got into the real world and recognized that that's very real. And that there's
and why
really
is it so hard to accept
intent.
that those same people become politicians? Think about it.
I have thought,
who the fuck
funny.
wants that job? Who really wants to be president? That seems like the most awful, most stressful, most least amount of sleep you're ever going to get in a 4 to 8 year period of your entire life. It seems terrible, miserable. It seems relationship destroying. Everything seems pretty damn negative about it, because no matter who you are, what your intentions are, what it is that you do, those 4 to 8 years, you ain't gonna get shit done. Just like the person before you, and just like the person who comes after you. So who wants that job? And that comes back to what we were saying, doing something in purity, doing something because you enjoy it, not for a money aspect. You're telling me the majority of those people got into it?
Of course not.
And maybe they got into it for good.
You
and maybe initially their intentions were good. Maybe at a smaller scale, when they were on a city council or a town council, or maybe the mayor, or something much smaller scale. But dude, once you hit the White House, once you become a senator, once you become a House of Representative, and you see the money that can be made, the people who can be bought, or vice versa. Once you start to see all that, it's going to corrupt you. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's going to. Those people might have started with good intentions. They might have started thinking that they were going to change the world. But I think everybody who really follows politics and really sees what's going on realizes that they ain't gonna fucking change the world. So going into that job thinking you're gonna change the world is already an insane thought process, because you're probably not going to.
Right.
You're probably not really going to change anything.
And it's almost like you have to be bought by certain sponsors to get to that level, because they're like, we're not going to endorse you or back you up, so you got to take on our agenda anyway. So it's like it's baked into the whole process of politics. But like you said, we still believe that they have our best interest in mind. And it's just, that's so funny. Like, we don't believe that there's a certain amount of families that really do have control over the world as a whole. Like, that's what it is. We can't really do much about that, unfortunately, because we're not the big families. So believing that they want to do right by us and that they're going to have integrity, it's funny, but that's the world we live in. It's bizarre. It's bizarre, man. And like I said, to go back full circle, or to go back a couple points ago, what do we gain from thinking this way, right? The only way it becomes worth it is if we continue to stay on the right path and create the life that we really want to live, that's outside the norm. Right. That is that financial freedom. And the social proof, to bring back up the social proof podcast, thank you so much for sharing that on your Instagram that day, because if it wasn't for that podcast, this podcast wouldn't exist. That podcast was fantastic. Is fantastic. Just listening to it yesterday.
And I got to get back to listening to it. I haven't listened to it in a couple of months. And I got to get back to listening to it. And he says something good about the whole getting paid every 2 weeks thing is not the correct way to go about it. You should try to get paid every day. Right. You should try to get paid each and every day. You should want to get paid. you shouldn't have to wait to that 2-week mark. Like, all right, man, if we just hold out these next 2 days, these next 3 days, we'll make it to payday. You know how much I heard that growing up?
You know how much I said that?
Yeah, I mean,
man.
like, that's exactly what it was. It was just that my mom would be like, man, nah, we can't go out to eat until next week because it's payday on Friday. Like, or we can't do this, we can't do that until after payday. And it's like, damn, man, why are we always waiting to payday? And then you grow up and you're like, oh, okay, that's why we're waiting to payday, man. You know, all your bills come out at a certain time, and you're like, damn, I only got X amount of money until payday.
Right.
And just find a way to get paid more frequently, and your life will be better.
I think the answer to our question about what do you do with the info, financial freedom makes the most sense. Just not being trapped by the system. So having the multiple sources, doing something that you want to do for money, knowing that you have the freedom and the ability to maneuver. And if something isn't working for you, I can leave, I can change, I can pivot. I think that's the best answer that we can get for ourselves, which leads to entrepreneurship, which leads to you making the decisions you've made, which leads to me making the decisions I've made. It all comes from just trying to solve that one question. And I think financial freedom really is that, which is why I chose, for me personally, day trading, because like, it's something that I can, as long as I have a laptop and internet connection, I can do it whenever, wherever, because the foreign exchange market is open 6 days a week. It's closed on Saturday, and it opens on Sunday, and it closes on Friday. And so as long as I have my laptop, I could open it right now and start trading and making money. And like you said, getting paid every single day from it. And so that's something that's so important. And that's the personal reason why I chose that, because I feel like it gives me the freedom and flexibility to live exactly how I desire to live, which is important, which is solving the problem and answering that question for me. And so that was my personal answer to it. And so I do want to, because I remember Reggie, he brought up I Am Academy. I just think that I want to talk about I Am for a second if I have time, because there's so many like mixed reviews about it, and so much of it is true on both sides. But I just feel like I've always wanted to just kind of express my thoughts about day trading, because day trading now has become so trendy, and it has such a bad connotation that it's not real, and that it's all a scam, and that it's a lot of things with it.
This is going to be my next point.
Yes, I was hoping so. And so I wanted to address that, because the stock market and day trading has been around for a century or more. Like, this is not something new. The only difference is that it wasn't always available to your entry-level investor. It used to be something that you would have to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to access. And so with now the internet age and the technology age, it's something that's been made accessible to the average person like myself, for instance. And so as a result, with a company like I Am Academy, that is a network marketing company as well as an educational platform. So it serves both purposes, which means if I'm a part of the company and I recruit you to come join this platform, I do get a residual every month that you pay. So that part is true. What is also true is that I Am Academy is an educational platform that does provide you the resources to learn. Like, it has thousands or hundreds of hours of like educational content to consume. Every single day there's educators that are experienced traders that go on there that are teaching you, that you can ask questions. They have lots of different resources and tools on there to really teach you how to trade. However, most people that come into it see how difficult it is, and they're not willing to go 4 years without making any money trying to learn it. And they're just like, I want to make quick money, so I'm just going to recruit.
Not just willing.
Able.
Not everybody not everybody can.
Right. And that was the thing. When I learned about it, thankfully I was still working. And so I recognized that I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm solely dependent on it.
And this is where I want to pause you for just a quick second, because that brings up a good point. Not everybody is willing to put in the work, and not everybody is able to make that sacrifice for 4 years. And that's why grinding each and every day is so important, because you gotta, when you're working that 9 to 5, that can't be the end all and be all if you have aspirations or if you have goals to do something more.
Right.
Like, you can't just do that 9 to 5 and come home and do nothing for the rest of the day. Otherwise, you're just gonna only work that 9 to 5. And if that's all you want to do, then that's fine.
Right.
But if you're sitting here saying, I have these goals to do this, I have these goals to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. So when you get off that 9 to 5, the job just begun.
Right. There's a saying.
That's when the job begun, because at the 9 to 5, that's not what you want to do.
Right.
You're going there because you have to. When you get off, that's your time to do what you want to do.
Precisely.
And your days off, it's not a day off. It's the whole day that you have to actually work, that you have to grind to do what it is that you want to do. It's not a day off. It's your day to work on your craft, to get better at what it is that you want to do. It's not a day to sit around and do nothing and to just relax. Yeah, that's comforting and it's fun to do so, and it feels good, but it ain't going to get you nowhere.
Precisely. And there's a saying, a super cliche saying in like the day trading world and the entrepreneur world that says your 9 to 5 will make you a living, but your 5 to 9 will make you rich. And that's it. Like once you get off work, that time you have to put in. And I got so used to that because all my years of working a job, like at one point I was working 100-hour weeks for 6 months straight, nonstop, just like 7 days a week. And I've always been used to working before and after work. Like I would get up at 5. Even when I had my job, I would Uber from 5 a.m. to 8:30 and then go work from 9 to 5. And then Uber in the evenings. I was in school. I was learning to day trade. Like I was always doing stuff outside of it because I knew at some point, at some period in life, this is going to pay off. I don't know how, I don't know when, but just keep pushing, keep learning, and keep grinding, and eventually it'll pay off. And that's kind of what I feel like now. But to go back to IM, basically, long story short, it's a company that can teach you how to trade. You just have to be committed to it. Most people aren't willing to commit, and they offer something called signals where their experienced traders will hand you trades and say, hey, take this trade this at this point, buy or sell. And so people will just go and follow that, or will just go and recruit. And so as a result, if I'm somebody that's in IM and I don't know how to trade and I come try to invite you in and then you get a bad experience because I just tried to, recruit you, you're going to think that day trading and Forex as a whole is a scam, when it's like, it's not at all. It's just the people within this company, because the currency exchange market is a very real market that all your major financial players all trade in. And this is what literally all of your regular banks, like your Bank of America, your Chase, all of that money that sits in those bank accounts is literally traded in the exchange markets, and they make profits on it, and then they redeposit your money back in there the following morning. So it's like, this is a very real thing. It's just been so convoluted because there's so many novices or get rich quick people that got a hold of this and they're trying to sell it and package it, and so it just gives it a bad look. And so a lot of times that's why I just say day trade. Like, I don't even mention Forex or currency because that's such a buzzword now that just has a really negative connotation. And it's frustrating to me because it's like, I've made real money. I've seen real money. I've seen people make real money. So it's always funny to me when somebody will try to tell me that stuff is a scam or doesn't work. And I'm just like, that's hilarious. You're telling the person that's done it that it doesn't work and you've never tried it before. And so I just want to put that out there and just like clear that up because
that's good.
It's just funny.
That's good because I was going to bring that up.
Because it's like, it goes back to what you're saying. When you're listening to all these people around you that have all these opinions, and you start breaking it down and getting into it, well, have you actually tried it? Have you done it? And not just day trading, just anything. And then you recognize, oh, you're a Yelp reviewer that's never been to the restaurant. So why do I trust your opinion on how the food is? Because your friend's cousin went and said that they didn't like it. So that doesn't make sense. Go try it for yourself. That's always been my approach in life, is give something the benefit of the doubt and try it for myself and get a firsthand experience. And so that's what I did with IM. And I definitely learned a lot of the foundational principles of day trading. But I spent easily hundreds of hours studying outside of that on my own, reading books, watching videos, courses, to study and really learn this stuff. Because for me, I always felt like I want to be one of the best day traders that's like in our modern day time. Like, I just want to be great because I enjoyed the act of it. And it wasn't necessarily about, I want to make all the money. I just want to be great at it. So I studied every aspect of the day trading market, from understanding structure, understanding bank movements, understanding psychological levels, just understanding all these different aspects in the market, like Elliott wave principles, understanding market psychology, just everything in there. I've spent all these years studying all of it. So now the culmination is that I'm pretty good at what I do, and I understand how the market moves, and I know how to spot the movements that are going to happen, which leads me to be able to day trade profitably, consistently, and to be able to understand the crypto markets. Because like when all of that stuff was happening, I was constantly posting my thoughts on certain cryptos and what I think is going to do, how far is price going to drop, where do I think price is going to rise to. And some people were so confused, and I'm like, I'm not a wizard, I'm not getting lucky, I'm not guessing. But when you've spent years studying the market, because with crypto, it's specifically built on just like the social atmosphere and how like the public feels about it. And because of that, that's what market psychology is. And when you understand how the psychology and the sentiment of the buyers and sellers react to certain prices and react to certain assets, you'll be able to see certain price movements and recognize, oh, this happened because people feel this way. So as a result, we're going to see this consequence or effect in the market due to X, Y, Z. And so you start to understand how to spot certain things in the market to know what's going to happen. And it leads you to being able to take trades. And so that's how a lot of times I'll post trades and I'll talk about having fire entries or like sniper gang, stuff like that. And basically what that is in the markets, you're able to predict with great accuracy where the market's going to turn around and be able to catch a really incredible trade and not experience any drawdown, which means your trade goes negative and you just go completely positive and make a lot of money. And stuff like that just comes from many, many years of studying this stuff and just losing a lot of money. Like the amount of money I've lost is crazy, but it was all worth it because I was just trying and practicing and studying and just trying to really master this stuff. And so I just wanted to put that out there about day trading. I got your back. I just had to let them know that day trading has a bad reputation, but it's a very real thing. And just please just separate it from the MLMs and the network marketing companies and pyramid schemes. Because there's plenty day trading companies that are network marketing companies that are built on day trading that are pitching this whole dream. We can teach you to trade in a month. Like that stuff isn't real.
But that's gonna be with anything, right? It doesn't matter what you do. You got to navigate through the shit to find the truth.
And it's so unfortunate though, because like we were talking about earlier, that's the climate we're in. We can teach you how to get rich in 30 days. Like people don't want to put the work in. They want to be sold a quick solution. And Forex right now is that thing because it's possible to take a trade and make $10,000, but there's a 99.9% chance that's not going to happen for you. Right. And so it's like they sell you on this idea of it's simple, but it's not easy. But they don't tell you that it's not easy part. They just sell you on the simplicity and the possibility of it. And when you try it and you blow your account, now you think this stuff is fake. And so it's just so funny. Like, I'll never forget this one lady. It was, I don't remember if it was an Uber or what it was, but we were talking about trading and she was like, none of that stuff is real. It's all fake. It's a scam. Nobody can know what the market is going to do. And I'm just looking at her laughing. I'm like, me and all of my friends would love to beg to differ, which like we've all done this over and over and over and over and over. And we kind of have an idea, like we've dedicated ourselves to this, but it's just most people, they would rather just be given the security instead of taking the chances and learning. So everything comes full circle.
People love to hate on things that they can't do.
Oh, bro, you keep on saying like things that are triggering. So that's very important because we fear what we don't understand. And so the most natural reaction is that I don't understand how to day trade. And instead of being willing to say that because it'll be a shot to our pride or our ego, we want to downplay it. And instead of it being, I don't understand, oh, that thing is just insufficient and can't be real, to protect ourselves. Like that's a natural human reaction to things. And it's so frustrating because we always want to put that negative energy onto something we don't understand and try to blame that thing instead of blaming our lack of understanding.
Life is so much easier, in my opinion, when you accept the fact that we don't know fucking anything.
Yes.
And that you're willing to try to learn. And also at the same time, when things stop like shocking you, like, oh, no way that could be true. It's like, no, it probably is. Probably is true. Just get rid of that shock value. Get rid of that like that constant like unbelievable state, that unbelievable,
non-believable.
Unbelievable, yeah. Non-believable state that you live in, and stop thinking that you understand things and you know how things work, because we don't. We don't know how things work. We don't understand things. We know fucking nothing. look, Game of Thrones was on something. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
I never watched Game of Thrones.
No, you should. It's a fucking great show. But life has been so much smoother and so much more fun when I've accepted the fact that I don't know anything, and I try to learn about everything. It's been a lot more fun.
What is that quote? I'm gonna think of it as we go along, but it was from a Erykah Badu song, and she said I'm gonna have to pull up the lyrics. I gotta think about it, but it was so perfect because it was just basically paraphrasing, saying that the wisest man is the man that recognizes he knows nothing at all. And like the way she said it was just so poetic. I'm like, dang, like that's so true. Like once you get to the point where you can accept that, then you become able to develop wisdom and insight because you recognize that you don't already understand. But that just goes back to like most people don't want to feel challenged like that and be willing to admit that like they're wrong. And it goes to whatever tweet that was saying. Like, I would rather be in the majority than to be right or whatever. Like
I'd rather be. Most people would rather be in the majority than to be right. Yeah,
like that is so true.
It is true. We see that constantly, and it's just and it's I don't know. But like you said, you begin to really gain wisdom, and that goes back to what you were saying with that humility, because you have to have humility in order to accept the fact that you don't know anything,
right?
And that is what allows you to learn. That's what allows you to actually learn and to actually pay attention and to actually see what's going on. And another thing that we constantly talk about on here too is that people just aren't used to you actually listening to them, and vice versa. When people are talking, they also just assume that you're not listening.
Right.
Because we're all so used to communicating in this very unemotional way. This very what's the word I'm looking for? When it comes to like communicating on Twitter, communicating even via text messages or on social media in general, we've all become so accustomed to communicating in that sense that so many people are on there just putting out their thoughts all day long that when you do talk to a human being in person, I don't know, I guess you just assume that they're not listening or I don't know, but people just... You start to realize that when you really start to pay attention, people just are shocked when you're actually listening. Like, actually listening. Like, you actually care about what they have to say. And I think that's important. I think we should care about what people have to say.
Completely.
But it's not a popular thing to do right now. It's not a popular thing to listen to what somebody says, especially if they oppose an idea that you have or disagree. People aren't allowed to disagree because automatically if you disagree, you're labeled as X, Y, and Z when it's like, okay, no, that's not necessarily true. That person just has a different perspective. That person just has a different outlook on life. They're looking at life through their lenses while you're looking at life through your lenses. And the only way to actually find out what life is really about is for both of those perspectives to come and meet in the middle. That's what life actually is. And people just want to label X, Y, and Z if you disagree with this or disagree with that, or if you have a different perspective, or if you have a different outlook, because we all agree, we all want the same things. We just have different ways that we want to get there, or different ways that we think that we should do to get there. And oftentimes, both sides really aren't wrong. They're just yelling at each other. And then if you just brought the two together, it would be very successful.
So many thoughts.
Like, very much, if you have that conservative mindset of hard work, pull yourself up by a bootstrap, it's very off-putting. It's very, sometimes it's looked at as racist or looked at as sexist or whatever it is. But then on the flip side, it's, you know, we should help the people who need help, X, Y, and Z. And it's like both of y'all are wanting to go in the same direction. It's just y'all have two different perspectives on how to get to that end result, and neither of y'all are really wrong. We should help these areas that need help.
Right, but
But
you should also help
at the
yourself.
same time, you got to help yourself.
Right, exactly.
And you got to put in the fucking work and stop asking for handouts and participation trophies. But then on the flip side, you can't help where you're born. You can't help what you look like when you're born. You can't help those things too. And so so we do need to help those things.
Right.
And so both of them are fucking right. And one's not wrong and the other one's not right, or vice versa. They're both right. They're both just different perspectives, and both are just different outlooks in order to get to this better society that we all strive for, and that we all want, and that we all desire, and that we all need. But it takes both of those things. We need to have the empathy to help people, but people have to have the accountability to help themselves.
And that sums up in a nutshell. But for some reason, that's such an unpopular opinion, which is so mind-boggling.
It's
to
weird.
Me. But did you have Miss Nori in high school for English?
No.
Dang it. Well, so she made us have this week where we did debates for a week, but she did it in an interesting way, and this is like one of the biggest helps to me in life when it came to perspective. She asked us about a few topics to see what we were passionate about, like religion and politics and just certain views, and then she separated everybody that was like, I'm passionate about this view, I'm passionate about this view, abortion, there's all these things. And then she's like, okay, great, now that everybody knows what they're passionate about, she's like, go switch sides, and now you're going to argue against the thing that you're passionate about. And I cried.
I do that all day long.
I cried the first time because like I had to argue against religion, and like my granddad's a pastor and all that kind of stuff, and it was so hard, the idea of accepting that there could be an opposing view, not saying that either is more right or wrong, but just understand. And the whole principle of that was that there's another side, there's a perspective, and it's not about agreeing or disagreeing, but at least see from their side of things. And so that in itself helped me know what it feels like to take perspective and recognize that I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you, but I want to understand and I want to see where you're coming from. And so in life, that has been one of my favorite things. Just like you said, now I love to look at things from all perspectives. Sometimes I'll even argue something that I disagree with, but I'll argue from the other side.
I do that all the time.
It's interesting.
You know what that does?
It helps you to understand more clearly and take more perspective.
That, and it also makes sure that the person that you're arguing with is well thought out in their argument. Because if they're not, then it's so easy to even play devil's advocate, even if you don't agree with it and you agree with that person. It's so easy to just eat it apart if they're not well thought out, or if they're not well read, or if they haven't actually put research into it, if they're just reciting information, or if they're just talking about something that they read or something, and they're not really putting a thought behind it. It's really easy to pick that apart. And so I play devil's advocate almost on every single topic, because I want to make sure that the person that I'm talking to has thought out their perspective, has thought it out fully, meaning that you have also looked at the other side, listened to it, understood, thought about it, and then you have came to this full conclusion that is now your perception.
See, even deeper than that, on the same lines, I want to make sure that my opinion and perspective is right. And if I only look at it from this side, I can't know. And I forget, once again, I've read so many books, but one of the books that I was reading was like, if you're not willing to challenge your thoughts or your perspective or something, that means you probably don't fully believe in it. Like, you should always be willing to challenge it from the opposing perspective to further help you solidify why you feel the way you feel and be more confident in your perspective, because you at least understand the other side and you can pick the holes in where you might be wrong or you might need to correct something. And so that's something I've taken with me all throughout life. Like, every time something happens, the first thing I do is, all right, well, let me try to pretend I'm this person, or let me look at it from this side. And sometimes I do it so naturally that like I don't even let people around me know, like, hey, I don't actually think this or feel this way, but this is just, it's number one, it's fun. Number two, I just like to challenge people. And number three, it just helps me to think through things more fully. And so that's just very important. Just always keeping perspective and everything.
Because inadvertently, like you said, it's challenging you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's challenging yourself while you're challenging the other person.
Right. Because usually what'll happen is I'll be trying to argue the opposing side, and I'll get halfway through it and recognize, okay, this is stupid. No, it doesn't make sense. Like, the way I feel is right. Or you'll be like, you know what? I actually kind of, I get it now. I feel a way. Like, I understand. And then you start evolving just your perspective and your opinion on something. And so that is just so important. But that's something that so few people are willing to do, is challenge their opinion.
Boom, you got 1% better that day.
Exactly.
Boom.
Amazing.
Full circle.
Exactly. That's how you do it.
Jayshun, this has been a lot of fun, man.
It has. We need to play Call
I
of Duty.
appreciate. Yes, we do. We need to play chess too. That'd be fun.
Oh, I'm down.
I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you making the drive.
Absolutely.
We like to end on goals. Give me a personal goal, and well, I guess for you personally, they're all personal goals. Mm-hmm. So give me 2 personal goals. 2 personal goals. Number 1 personal goal is this Forex challenge. I am so dedicated to passing this challenge in the next 30 days. Like, that is the goal. It should not take me more. But I always have to kind of put a disclaimer because of our earlier conversation. Like, I'm well aware that I can't live to this 30 days. But I know the importance of just adding that sense of urgency to, like, motivate you to do things. And so for me, I want to pass this Forex challenge within 30 days. And then me and my girlfriend, we sat down and I told her that I have this very strict 6-month goal with trading to be at this certain level that can allow me to be self-sustaining and making enough money to where life will forever be different with Forex. And so it's basically a 2-part goal. It's a 30-day goal of passing the challenge and a 6-month goal of reaching, I think that's like the 100K account or something like that, when life can really be different. So those are my only 2 like just career goals that I'm focusing so heavily on. I wake up every morning and that's where my mind goes. And it feels good to have clarity and not be doing a million things for us, because I've always been the person that's doing 16 things at once and you never make much progress. But right now, just focusing only on this has been amazing. So I just want to keep my focus there and continue to just push myself and work out every day. And the last thing that I've been doing, and I want to try to hold myself accountable, is her and I, every morning we do a daily devotional together, and then we're currently learning Spanish together. So I just want to keep, we've been in it for like a month and a half, and it's been so much fun. So I just want to keep holding myself accountable to learning every single day with Spanish. And so hopefully in a year, I'll be able to at least, be conversational with it. Sí.
Yeah. So,
muy bien. Yo entiendo más que yo hablo, pero it's okay.
Más o menos. Mucho gusto. The basics.
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say. Nice to meet you. Oh, man.
Yeah,
so
no.
What about yourself? What are some of your things that you're looking for on the horizon?
Damn, man, that's a good one. I hope that with what I gained from the house, I hope that I can turn that into more. Mm-hmm. I hope that this is a beginning of a domino effect that begins to lead me into my 30s. That will be very fulfilling and very fun and very enjoyable.
Is the home in Austin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in Leander.
Gotcha.
So I'm hoping that helps springboards me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that we have the ability to continue to do this regardless for fun or for monetary value. I enjoy this. I hope to be able to continue to do Muay Thai without sustaining a significant injury, or CrossFit without sustaining a significant injury. I hope to get my body right. I hope to continue to pump money into my body so that I can get it right, and I hope that I continue to have the means to pump or have the money in order to pump it into my body so that I can continue to keep it right and get right, and just keep on this path and continue to become more confident, continue to stop doubting myself. Pretty much everything that we talked about in this podcast runs parallel with the reason why I do this, and the reason why I enjoy these conversations is because I just want to make sure that what's going on in my head isn't just in my head, that other people have the same struggles, that other people are thinking the same thing. They have the same goals, but they may or may not know how to go about it, or they may lack the confidence, or they may be They may be too scared or don't want to get uncomfortable. And
afraid to fail in front of people. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Afraid to fail, afraid to look silly. And slowly but surely, I'm getting better at each and every one of those things. And it takes time, and it takes a lot of time. And I'm also trying to accept that, to accept the fact that, again, that I'm not one of these outliers, that I'm not LeBron James, I'm not going to be the next Michael Jordan, that I'm not going to be one of those people, and that's perfectly fine. However,
just make it to the league.
Yeah, right. However, yeah, exactly. Let me make it to the league. Let me enter a realm of people who there's not that many people there, but there's enough people there to show you that it is possible, that you can do it, and then you just got to keep putting in the work.
Representation is important.
Yes, sir.
So that's why it's so important to either find people. A friend of mine, he calls them pathmates, people that are on the same path as you, that y'all are currently moving together, or people that are ahead of you that you can look to them and know that all this is possible. That's so important.
Those are important people.
Yes.
Those are hard to find.
Very hard to find.
Those are hard to find.
It's stressful because sometimes your lifelong friends you recognize aren't those people, and that can be such a hard thing to accept, but it comes with the territory. You just have to be able to strategically connect with the right people so y'all can move forward, and then you'll get there eventually. And so that's why I leave that with people. Just know that connect with the right folks, have integrity, have the right motivation, and don't be afraid to fail, because ultimately if you fail 10 times, once you become successful that 11th time, nobody will remember everything you failed at anyway. Like the guy who started Uber, we don't know any other businesses he tried to start.
Right.
We just know he's a
Starbucks.
Right.
He was told no like 96 times, I think. 96 times he tried to get someone to buy his idea. And finally someone did, like on the 96th or 97th time. So that's important, man. That's important. And Jayshun, I'm glad that I had the pleasure to sit down with you. Had the opportunity to sit down and have this conversation. I'm glad that you're doing well. You've grown a lot since high school. It's awesome to see.
Gained a lot of weight too.
Yeah, hey, man. And so there's things that we're still working on. That gives you something.
Right.
Hey, that just gives you another thing to just continue to get better at, to continue to work on, and that's what makes life fun. Constantly trying to get better at something.
To be honest, I be sometimes wanting to like tell you, hey, I'll drive to Austin to come work out with you if you would let me. Like,
right, you can come work out whenever you want.
But then I'm like, I don't want to embarrass myself because I can't keep up.
It's not an embarrassment, dude. Everyone's got to start somewhere. Everyone's got to start somewhere, and it's not an embarrassment. It's nah, dude. And I think, like you said you wanted to start doing boxing. I think you should come check it out. Come box with us, dude. It'd be fun, man.
So amazing. I just want to know if
one of my friends is joining tomorrow. He hasn't been on the podcast yet, but he'll be on here in a couple days or in a couple weeks. By the time this episode is out, he'll already be on. But
when is this coming to air?
Probably about 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it'd be a little bit. And so he's joining the class tomorrow, just due to us having conversations about it, him seeing it on Instagram, him watching some of my fights, some of the videos, and yeah, and he's coming in, dude. So if you ever want to come, just let me know. Every weekend's free at the CrossFit gym, and then at the boxing gym, I can't get you in for free, but I can get you in and show you the ropes. So nonetheless,
how much does it cost? Am I like putting on gloves and stuff?
Well, you'd hit the bag, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd be hitting the bag.
I just want to know if I know how to punch. I just want to do it.
You'd be surprised, dude. Everyone on the first day looks silly.
I bet.
They look silly. Yeah, they look silly.
Man.
But that's the best group of people, dude. You'll never find a better group of people. A more accepting, no judgment, just so much fun. It's so much fun. It's a great group of people.
I'm down.
Jayshun Sephus, everybody. Boom. We'll see y'all next time, guys.